Chapter 61. Ling Feng took a deep breath. "Spring brother bless you." Ling Feng muttered and opened the third safe. There were few things in the box, only a small box. He opened the box and checked, and the things inside surprised him. Gene serum. How could Ling Yutong have gene serum? But from the appearance, this seemed to be different from the gene serum in his hand. The gene serum left by his grandfather was red, but the 5 serums in his hand were light green. Ling Feng guessed that the gene serum in the safe should be a defective product researched by Ling Yutong himself. He lacked the core data of the gene serum and could not research the real gene serum. This serum was at most a semi-finished product. Ling Feng tried to put the gene serum into the space to see if it would trigger the special item upgrade. Directly choose a 100-fold upgrade. Gene serum. Improvement effect. 1. No side effects. 2. Increase the human body's potential 100-fold. It really works. Ling Feng was very excited when he saw the upgraded gene serum in the space. But this serum was too rubbish. After the upgrade, it could only be improved by 100 times, which was not as good as the serum in his body. However, these serums could be considered for Wang Long or Lin Su. This Ling Yutong is too useless. What kind of thing did he research? No! Ling Feng suddenly seemed to have thought of something. He hurriedly left Tianyu building and rode his motorcycle towards Zizuan. In the villa, Lin Su looked out the window with horror, his face pale. Outside the door, a humanoid monster was constantly attacking the door. The monster was very powerful, and the door made a dull sound when it was knocked. Lin Su was trembling when she heard it. Lin Su looked at the monster outside the door from the surveillance, her legs trembling a little, and her face was extremely ugly. This monster was really too scary. It was beyond her cognition. The monster's entire height has reached 2.5 meters. It has Longan-sized flesh balls all over its body, and black liquid keeps flowing out of the corners of its mouth. The monster's 2 eyes are red and protruding, looking very scary. Lin Su now misses Ling Feng very much. If he were here, it would be great. He would definitely be able to solve this problem very easily. Unconsciously, her dependence on Ling Feng has become deeper and deeper. The monster outside the door seems to have discovered that the door seems to be unbreakable. It has become more and more irritable, waving its huge fist to attack the windows on the first floor. The monster keeps slapping and roaring. Lin Su looked at the monster slapping the window with a ferocious face, and was so scared that Lin Su didn't dare to go over and draw the curtains. Lin Su saw the figure on the second floor of the villa opposite through the window. Ling Kur. It turned out that she was playing tricks. At this time, Ling Kur looked at Ling Yutong, who had turned into a monster with an indifferent face, and there was no ripple in her heart. "Dad, you're going to die anyway, so just help your daughter this last time," Ling Kur whispered softly. Ever since she knew her father had the gene serum, she gradually came up with a plan in her mind. However, due to Ling Feng's caution, this plan has never been implemented. But this morning, Ling Feng actually went out alone and left the villa. She finally waited for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and she was so excited that she almost fainted. Ling Feng, this idiot, dared to go out alone during this dangerous period. Didn't this just create an opportunity for himself? She injected all 3 gene serums into Ling Yutong's body, and Ling Yutong, who was about to die, suddenly burst out with a tyrannical force. He smashed the door of his own house with one punch. Under Ling Kur's command, Ling Yutong came to Ling Feng's villa and started a crazy attack. Ling Kur looked at all this with excitement. As long as the door was breached, she could possess everything of Ling Feng. But soon she couldn't laugh anymore. After Ling Yutong attacked continuously for an hour, the gate was not damaged at all and still stood there firmly. On the contrary, Ling Yutong had exhausted all his strength and his last bit of potential because of the 1-hour crazy attack. The force of his slapping the gate became weaker and weaker, and the life in his eyes became less and less, until finally his eyes were completely occupied by death. He could no longer hold on, and his huge body fell backwards. Lin Su patted her broad chest with lingering fear. Fortunately, the monster was dead, Otherwise, she would really be scared to death. She saw that there was no trace of Ling Kuer on the opposite side. In her heart she was more certain of her guess. She took out her cell phone and prepared to tell Ling Feng what had just happened, and told him to be careful of Ling Kuer. Just as she was about to make a call, she saw Ling Feng driving a motorcycle in the distance. Seeing Ling Feng return safely, her hanging heart was also relieved. Lin Su put down her cell phone and prepared to open the door for Ling Feng. Ling Feng drove a snowmobile to the door of the villa and stopped at a glance. He saw the body of the monster lying in the snow. Ling Feng's heart tightened, but when he saw the intact door, his nervous heart relaxed again. He walked to the front of the monster to check, looking at the monster covered with meatballs, like a disgusting toad. Judging from the appearance of this corpse, it should be Ling Yutong. Looking at the monster that was neither human nor ghost, Ling Feng felt a little unhappy. He died before he could do it himself, which was too boring. It was a pity that he couldn't kill him with his own hands. He came to the door. The door was opened. Lin Su stood at the door holding slippers waiting for him to come in. Ling Feng walked into the villa. Lin Su took the initiative to squat down to help him take off his shoes and put on cotton slippers for him. She also helped him take off his coat and hat. "I made ginger sugar water for you. I'll bring you a bowl." After saying that, she twisted her body and walked towards the kitchen. Ling Feng leaned on the sofa with a relaxed look on his face and lit a cigarette leisurely. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It's still comfortable at home, safe and warm. The outside world is still too unsafe. I have to improve my strength as soon as possible, and there will be more powerful enemies in the future. Lin Su handed a bowl of steaming ginger sugar water to Ling Feng. "Drink it while it's hot." Ling Feng took the ginger sugar water and drank it slowly. The boiling ginger sugar water entered his body, making his body feel much more comfortable. Lin Su stood behind him, gently squeezing his shoulders while talking about what happened today. Ling Kuer. Ling Feng's expression gradually turned cold, and a trace of cruelty flashed across his eyes. This person is really a thief who is still unwilling to give up. I gave her a chance to live, but unfortunately, she didn't cherish it. Since you are determined to die, I will fulfill your wish. Ling Feng drank the ginger sugar water in the bowl, and the murderous intent in his eyes flashed. "Wait for me at home. I'll go out." He stood up and was about to go out. "Wait a minute." Lin Su stopped Ling Feng, who wanted to go out. She hurriedly followed, looked at Ling Feng, and reminded him, "You have to be careful. She may have a gun in her hand." Lin Su stopped Ling Feng, who wanted to go out. She hurriedly followed, looked at Ling Feng, and reminded him, "You have to be careful. She may have a gun in her hand." Ling Feng touched her smooth face and smiled. "Don't worry, I will be back soon." He turned and walked out of the villa and walked towards Ling Yutong's villa. It's time to end this grudge. Chapter 62. Ling Feng moved to villa number 80. The door of the villa was wide open, as if it was a door specially reserved for him. Ling Feng walked into the villa. He saw Ling Kuer sitting on the sofa. She sat there with a cold expression, showing no emotional fluctuations. "Are you here to kill me?" Ling Kuer smiled. Her tone was dull. Ling Feng walked to the sofa opposite her and sat down, lighting a cigarette. "I gave you a chance, but you wasted it again and again." Ling Kuer laughed at herself, with a bleak look on her face. "I lost. I asked for all this, but don't even think about living." Ling Kuer suddenly took out a pistol from behind and pointed the gun at Ling Feng. With a smug smile, "I want you to be buried with my whole family." "Ling Feng, go to hell." Ling Feng still sat on the sofa with a calm face, without any fear. Ling Kuer seemed very dissatisfied with Ling Feng's performance and said angrily, "Aren't you afraid? You're gonna die. Haha. What? Are you too scared to move, bastard? Aren't you awesome? Where's your majesty?" Ling Feng took a puff of cigarette and looked at her sarcastically. "Do you think you can kill me with this broken gun?" Ling Kuer's eyes turned red in an instant, and her expression was furious. This was not the result she wanted. She wanted to see Ling Feng kneeling in front of her, begging her to spare his life. Then she would kill him mercilessly. "Go to hell, bastard." She pulled the trigger directly. Bang! The gunshot sounded, and he seemed to see the scene of the bullet hitting Ling Feng. This clip had appeared in his mind countless times, but the scene he imagined did not appear. The bullet hit the sponge of the sofa, and Ling Feng, who was originally sitting on the sofa, appeared beside him at some point. Ling Kuer was horrified and quickly turned the gun around, preparing for a second shot. Unfortunately, she was too slow. Ling Feng was too fast. Incredibly fast. Ling Kuer's eyes blurred, and the gun in her hand was in Ling Feng's hand. She didn't even see Ling Feng's movements clearly. Are you a human or a ghost? Ling Kuer was instantly terrified, and she seemed to have lost her strength and collapsed to the ground. Ling Feng played with the pistol he had snatched, looking at her with a playful look on his face. I'm here to kill you. Ling Kuer's heart trembled, and only then did she realize that death was coming. She no longer had the calm look she had just had. She was shaking all over, with an ugly face. Brother Feng, let me go. I'll do anything you ask me to do. Ling Feng's eyes lit up, and he kept looking her up and down. Really? Ling Kuer thought Ling Feng was attracted to him, and immediately nodded. Really? From now on I will be your slave? I will definitely serve you comfortably. Although Ling Kuer had endless hatred for Ling Feng in her heart, she could do anything to survive. Even if she was a dog, being a comfortable dog was better than being a dead person. Ling Feng looked at her with disdain. It turns out that they are not from the same family, not from the same clan, and they are the same as Ling Yutong. For the sake of profit, they can do anything. Let her go. That's impossible. Ling Feng doesn't want to cause trouble for himself. Ling Feng shot her in the heart directly, and Ling Kuer's back instantly had a bloody hole as big as a bowl. Blood continued to pour out. You don't want to kill. Ling Kuer looked at Ling Feng with a look of doubt. Didn't he just want to spare her life? Why did he want to kill me? I never said I wouldn't kill you. You just misunderstood. Ling Feng put away his gun with a cold look. After dealing with Ling Kuer, Ling Feng quickly searched the villa. The villa was full of corpses of members of the Qinglong society. Apart from that, Yang Zihan was not found. This surprised Ling Feng a little, but he didn't care too much. After leaving the Ling family villa, Ling Feng felt that the depression in his heart was swept away. Now he finally got his revenge for his previous life and for his grandfather. Since his rebirth, he has been living with hatred. Now that his revenge has been avenged, even breathing has become more comfortable. Back in the villa, Ling Feng called the two brothers Zhang and Zhang Ning through the intercom. Master, what do you want? Zhang Ning stood in the yard respectfully, waiting for Ling Feng's instructions. Ling Feng took out 5 walkie-talkies and handed them to him. From today on, every person entering and leaving the villa arrange secret sentries at the entrance. Each sentry post will be given a walkie-talkie. If an outsider enters, report to me immediately. The reward is 2 steam buns per day. Also, arrange some strong men to dig pits in the yard and around my villa. The reward is a bucket of instant noodles and a steam bun per meal. Ling Feng decided to let these owners of Zizhuan work for him. Anyway, he had enough food, and this little thing was insignificant to him. As long as these people did not cause trouble for him and were honest and obedient, he was willing to give these owners a way out. Zhang Ning and Zhang N's eyes lit up when they heard the conditions proposed by Ling Feng. If this condition was before the end of the world, even dogs would not do it. But under the current conditions, it is simply a good thing that falls from the sky. At least they don't have to starve in the future. Master, don't worry, I will arrange your instructions right away. I promise to complete this task beautifully. Zhang Ning patted his chest and promised. Ling Feng nodded with satisfaction and rewarded the two with a bag of ham sausage. The two kowtowed and expressed their loyalty, which made Ling Feng feel numb. After sending the two away, Ling Feng began to think about his next plan. Since he learned about the actions of MK Company, he gradually realized the sense of crisis. These people will find me sooner or later, so I have to take necessary precautions. Otherwise, I will be too passive when they come to me. And there must be a large number of people who have been injected with gene serum and MK Company, and these people are many times stronger than ordinary people. This generation must be taken seriously. I have to improve my strength as soon as possible, and Wang Long must also improve his strength. In this way, I can have a trustworthy helper around me. In addition, he plans to find some powerful guns. Although he has sufficient weapons and ammunition, he does not have powerful weapons. I have to find a chance to go out and see if I can find weapons. Places like police stations and military units must have powerful weapons. It would be even better if I could get weapons like artillery. He had a headache when he thought about the many things he had to deal with later. He just wanted to lie down at home, but troubles came one after another. Lin Su, who was busy in the kitchen, saw that he was in a bad mood, put down the cucumber in her hand, and came behind him to massage his shoulders. "Are you worried again?" Lin Su asked gently. Ling Feng nodded. "Do you want to go upstairs to relax?" After Lin Su said this, she realized that her words seemed ambiguous, and she quickly changed her words. "I mean to go upstairs to rest, nothing else?" But looking at Ling Feng's hungry eyes, she knew how wrong her words were. Ling Feng picked her up and walked upstairs. Chapter 63. The next morning, Ling Feng sat up from the bed refreshed. After a simple wash, he moved to the restaurant on the first floor and sat down. Lin Su began to bring breakfast to the table one after another. Seeing Lin Su's rosy face after being moisturized, like a ripe peach, people can't help but want to take a bite. Ling Feng raised the corners of his mouth, walked forward gently, hugged Lin Su from behind. Feeling her elastic figure, his hands began to wander dishonestly. Lin Su felt the changes in Ling Feng's body and hurriedly dodged, fearing that he would do it again. Ling Feng looked at her somewhat frightened eyes and joked, "Go upstairs and lie down for a while." When Lin Su heard this, she immediately rolled her eyes at her. "No, can't you let me rest for a day? I'm so tired." Ling Feng laughed, stopped teasing him, and started to sit down to eat. The breakfast was quite rich: barbecued pork buns, rice noodle rolls, rice noodles, fried cakes, eggs. Ling Feng's appetite was aroused, and he began to eat heartily. He had consumed a lot of energy last night, and his stomach had already started to growl. After eating Lin Su's food for such a long time, he was not tired of it at all, and he ate until he was full every time. After dinner, Ling Feng walked out of the villa and came to Wang Long's house as a guest. Ling Feng called him several times before he slowly opened the door for him. Wang Long rubbed his head and eyes, looking sleepy. "Don't let me sleep so early in the morning." After opening the door, he dragged his body and collapsed on the sofa, completely ignoring Ling Feng, and began to sleep soundly. Ling Feng looked at Wang Long's appearance and was speechless. Since the end of the world, he has become more and more homebound and lazy. He must help him wake up, otherwise he will be useless. He found a balloon from the space, went to the bathroom, filled the balloon with water, and then tied the balloon. Ling Feng came to the sofa with a balloon filled with cold water, looking at Wang Long, who was still sleeping soundly. He raised the balloon and threw it at Wang Long's face. "Fuck!" Wang Long jumped up from the sofa. He woke up instantly, looking at Ling Feng, who was laughing beside him. His expression was extremely speechless. "Oh, what are you doing?" Ling Feng laughed so hard that tears came out, and after a while he slowly said, "If I don't use this method, you can sleep until night, believe it or not." Wang Long wiped the cold water off his body and looked at Ling Feng with a depressed face. "Why did you think of looking for me today?" "I'm here to give you a great opportunity," Ling Feng said mysteriously. "Opportunity? What opportunity? Come with me? You'll know in a while." Ling Feng took Wang Long to the basement with a puzzled look on his face. He found an open space to prevent Wang Long from breaking something when the drug took effect. He took out the prepared gene serum and handed it to Wang Long. "This is gene serum. It will change the human body structure and enhance the human body's potential." Wang Long took the serum and observed it up and down, his eyes full of hesitation. "Have you used it?" he asked doubtfully. "I haven't used this one." Ling Feng told the truth. Wang Long was furious. "You kid are using me as a guinea pig. What if you poison me to death?" Ling Feng rolled his eyes at him. What if I'm not sure I can give it to you? You don't want something that others can't get even if they fight for it. Don't give it back to me. Ling Feng was about to take the gene serum back. Wang Long immediately covered the serum tightly. He was just complaining just now. Your brother must be trustworthy. Maybe he can really get a great opportunity. I want it. I want it. Wang Long smiled and surrounded Ling Feng with a flattering face. How do I use this thing? Ling Feng took out a special syringe, filled it with serum, and prepared to inject Wang Long. Am I going in? Come on. Wang Long closed his eyes tightly, with a constipated expression. Ling Feng quickly entered and injected the serum into the heart. It seems that there is nothing to feel. Fengzi. Wang Long touched his body and didn't feel anything wrong. This thing won't expire. Ling Feng didn't say anything, lit up a lacoon, and looked at him with a smile. About 10 seconds later. Ouch, why does it hurt so much? Wang Long's face began to turn red, and his forehead began to sweat. Soon he couldn't stand the pain. He began to roll on the ground, and his miserable screams spread throughout the basement. Ling Feng looked at Wang Long's uncomfortable appearance, and his face was full of gloating. This kind of scene of watching his friends make a fool of themselves. Of course, he had to observe carefully. Soon, Wang Long's skin began to ooze out black, sticky substances, emitting an unpleasant fishy smell. About half an hour later, Wang Long's screams gradually subsided, and the whole person slowly stabilized. An hour later, Wang Long held a mirror and admired his muscles narcissistically. Oh my God, it's amazing! I feel like I could beat 5 of my former selves. So awesome. So handsome. Wang Long looked at Ling Feng, eager to try, and the increase in strength made him a little inflated, feeling that he was now terribly strong. Fengzi, let's practice. You should not be my opponent now. Come on. 5 minutes later, Wang Long walked out of the basement with a bruised face. His expression twitched, and he was as arrogant as he was just now, and as low-key as he was now. Wang Long, who thought he was invincible, was kicked away by Ling Feng. After injecting Wang Long with serum, Ling Feng decided to continue going out to search for supplies today. The gas station he met last time, he didn't collect the resources inside because of the tool problem. He plans to go there again today to collect all the fuel resources inside and find some weapons resources by the way. Wang Long heard that Ling Feng was going out, and he had to go out for a ride with him. Ling Feng felt that Wang Long had also been transformed by the serum, and his physical strength was far greater than that of ordinary people. He had no problem protecting himself, so he agreed to his request. He asked Zhang Ning to pay attention to the secret sentry at all times through the intercom, and told Lin Su not to open the door casually, and then he left with peace of mind. Ling Feng rode a snowmobile and took Wang Long for a ride, and soon arrived at the destination. Gas station. The hole that Ling Feng dug yesterday was still in the same place, and there were no other footprints on the road. It seemed that no one else had been here. Ling Feng took out the tools and prepared to continue clearing the frozen snow. Fengzi, come over and see what this is? Wang Long stood next to an abandoned van not far away and waved at Ling Feng. Ling Feng put down the tools in his hand and walked to Wang Long. What's wrong? Wang Long pointed to a strange mark on the ground, a 50 centimeters wide drag mark extending from the van to a ruin in the distance. The mark did not look like a mark left by a car tire, and now it was snowing heavily. If it was left in the past, the mark would have been covered by the snow long ago. It should have been left not long ago. It looks like it was left by a reptile. Ling Feng's face was a little heavy. He looked up at the ruins in the distance and felt a little uneasy. Chapter 64. When Ling Feng came to the gas station yesterday, he felt uneasy. When he saw this drag mark today, the uneasy feeling became even stronger. Ling Feng took out the AK from the space, held it in his hand, and then threw another AK to Wang Long. Be careful. This place is a bit evil. Ling Feng's expression tightened and reminded Wang Long. Wang Long was also a little scared by Ling Feng's words. What kind of reptile would be so thick? It's scary to think about it. He couldn't help but tighten the AK in his hand. Is it a snake? Wang Long asked cautiously. Go over there and see where this mark disappears." Ling Feng pointed to the ruins in front, and the two of them walked carefully towards the direction of the ruins, one on the left and one on the right. When the two walked halfway, Ling Feng raised his hand to signal to stop. Wang Long stopped tacitly and kept a posture ready to shoot at any time. The two had participated in many missions together, and they cooperated very well. Sometimes, they only needed a glance to know what to do next. Ling Feng made a move with his right hand, indicating that Wang Long should support him with firepower from a distance, and he would go to check alone. Just now, relying on his keen hearing, he heard the sound of creatures moving coming from the ruins. Ling Feng approached the ruins cautiously for a distance, and stopped 20 meters away from the ruins. He silently took out a grenade from the space and threw it directly in the direction of the ruins. Bang! The ruins made a loud noise, splashing large pieces of snow. At the same time, a thick and long figure stuck to the ground and attacked Ling Feng at a very fast speed. The scarlet eyes were like two big red lanterns, staring coldly at his prey. Seeing this huge figure, Ling Feng's expression changed. This giant python has a diameter of about 60 centimeters and is roughly estimated to be 15 meters long. It looks quite terrifying. The giant python spits out scarlet tongues and opens its mouth to reveal sharp fangs on both sides. The giant python is covered with scales all over its body. Ling Feng quickly retreated to the back, while the AK in his hand kept shooting at the giant python. Wang Long, who was standing not far away, also shot at the moment the giant python appeared. The bullet hit the giant python. It did not cause any damage to the giant python, but was blocked by the hard scales, bringing up bursts of sparks. However, the giant python was hit by the bullet and dared not move forward. It coiled up and stared at Ling Feng. "Fengzi, this thing has too thick skin to hit," Wang Long said solemnly. Ling Feng frowned and stared at the giant python, and put his hands in a defensive posture to prevent the giant python from suddenly attacking. This giant python is a bit like a mutant, and it doesn't look like a python, but more like a rat snake. "You retreat first? I'll hold it in front." Ling Feng decided to retreat. This thing is not easy to deal with, and ordinary guns can't cause any damage at all. If you go forward for close combat, it will definitely be disadvantageous to you. The best way is to run quickly. Wang Long nodded and retreated backwards towards the direction of the motorcycle. The python saw Wang Long moving and seemed to have noticed something unusual, swinging its body and moving quickly towards him. Seeing this, Ling Feng put away his spear, started running towards the giant python at high speed, and took out his Tang sword at the same time. Wang Long's strength is only several times stronger than that of an ordinary person, but he is definitely not the opponent of the giant python. Ling Feng took the initiative to attract the giant python. The giant python, which was originally preparing to attack Wang Long, looked at Ling Feng running towards him, roared, and decisively changed direction. The huge body is extremely flexible. He opened his mouth, revealing his sharp fangs, and bit towards Ling Feng's head. Ling Feng held the knife in both hands and swung it at an incredible speed, slashing at the python's head. Poochie! The Tang knife and the fangs intersected, rubbing against each other, producing a series of sparks, and the sharp Tang knife directly cut off half of the python's teeth. The python felt some pain and shook its head violently. At the same time, it swung its tail towards Ling Feng. Ling Feng looked at the chain-like snake tail sweeping towards him quickly, and dodged hurriedly, rolling forward to avoid it. The python's tail missed and hit the snow, leaving a half-meter deep ditch on the ground. Ling Feng watched this scene with lingering fear. Fortunately, he dodged in time. Otherwise, if he had been hit, he would definitely have been injured. The first attack of the python missed, and it swung its tail again to sweep towards Ling Feng. Ling Feng began to dodge constantly, relying on his speed and agility to fight with the giant python in the ruins, looking for a chance to sneak attack. The giant python's multiple attacks all missed, and none of them hit. It started he began to get a little irritable. The speed of the attack was getting faster and faster, which put Ling Feng under great pressure. However, he also found a problem. Although the giant python was faster, it had more flaws. Originally, when the giant python attacked Ling Feng, it always kept a relatively safe distance and attacked with its tail. But after being dodged by Ling Feng many times, the giant python became a little irritable and began to close the distance with Ling Feng, hoping to surround Ling Feng with its body. Ling Feng certainly would not give him a chance. He began to speed up, constantly dodging, and inadvertently attacked the giant python. Ling Feng found that in this life-and-death situation, his potential was growing rapidly, and his speed was getting faster and faster. The dodging, which was originally a bit strenuous, gradually became less difficult. Later, the giant python simply could not catch up with Ling Feng's speed, and as Ling Feng stabbed it from time to time, the knife wounds on the giant python gradually increased, and its speed began to decrease. As one side gained strength while the other lost, Ling Feng's momentum became stronger and stronger, and the strength of both sides began to reverse. Ling Feng saw the opportunity and quickly came to the 7-inch position of the giant python, using all his strength to chop it down with all his strength. The giant python was directly cut in half by Ling Feng. The giant python's huge body began to struggle constantly, and soon there was no movement. Seeing that the giant python was no longer moving, Ling Feng's expression also relaxed, and he sat on the ground and gasped. Wang Long, who was standing not far away, ran over excitedly and patted Ling Feng's shoulder vigorously. "Okay, Fengzi, it's awesome. I was so worried about it just now. The skin of this big worm is too thick, and even a gun can't penetrate it," Wang Long exclaimed while kicking the giant python's body. Ling Feng looked at the giant python's huge body, and he couldn't help but feel scared. Fortunately, his physical strength broke through at a critical moment. Otherwise, the two brothers would have become the giant python's food today. This thing should be a mutant species. Ling Feng stood up with his tang sword and observed the body of the giant python. "I don't know if this thing tastes good. I'll take it back and let Lin Su make a snake soup for me." He walked to the huge snake head and wanted to observe the fangs of the giant python. Suddenly, the dead giant python suddenly opened its eyes and opened its mouth to bite Ling Feng's neck. In a hurry, Ling Feng dodged sideways. The giant python dragged half of its body and fled quickly towards the ruins after missing the attack. Chapter 65. What the hell? Wang Long looked at the direction where the giant python fled with a look of surprise. The giant python that was cut in half was not dead and could continue to flee. It was out of this world. It completely refreshed his entire cognition. This guy must have been pretending to be dead just now, looking for a chance to escape. Damn, he was fooled by a long worm. Wang Long was so angry that he jumped up and down. Ling Feng didn't say anything and directly chased in the direction where the giant python fled with a knife. Before leaving, he didn't forget to remind Wang Long to take care of the other half of the giant python's body. He was going to take this thing back to eat snake soup. Ling Feng carefully searched along the traces left by the giant python. This giant python has mutated and has intelligence. Maybe this guy is hiding there now and preparing to attack. He came to the entrance of a cave based on the traces of the giant python crawling. The diameter of this cave is about 1.5 meters. Looking inside from the entrance, it is pitch black, and you can't see the situation inside clearly. Ling Feng did not dare to rush in rashly. Who knows what is inside? Will there be a second giant python? This giant python is too cunning, and its IQ is even higher than that of ordinary humans. Ling Feng took out a grenade, pulled the safety, and threw it into the cave. As the grenade was detonated, the cave was blown open directly, but the giant python was not seen. The grenade just blew up part of the cave, but it did not blow up the whole cave. Looking in from the outside, it is still bottomless. Damn, this thing is so deep. Ling Feng cursed inwardly and then continued to throw grenades in. Anyway, he had plenty of grenades in his hand. Ling Feng relied on grenades to continuously destroy the giant python's cave. After bombing more than a dozen grenades, he finally blew up the giant python's cave. Ling Feng finally saw the giant python, which was dying on the ground at this time. and it seemed that it had run out of energy. However, Ling Feng did not let down his guard after the attack. Who knows if this guy is pretending and whether there is another giant python nearby. Ling Feng stood in place and observed the surroundings for a while. After confirming that there were no other giant pythons, he slowly approached the giant python. He held the knife in both hands and came to the distance of the giant python with a cautious look. The giant python turned its head with difficulty, as if it wanted to move its body, but it failed after trying several times. It seems that it was seriously injured by being cut in half just now. It just lasted longer than ordinary snakes. Ling Feng gathered strength with both hands and quickly chopped at the head of the giant python. Although the giant python looked very weak, Ling Feng would not make the same mistake again. The Tang sword instantly sank into the body of the giant python and cut off the head of the giant python. The giant python, with only its head left, was still spitting out its tongue, and there was a trace of human resentment in its eyes, which made Ling Feng's hair stand on end. It's really an indestructible little cockroach. However, the giant python, with only its head left, could not pose any threat to him. Ling Feng directly put the snake head and half of its body into the space and prepared to go back and study the reason for the giant python's mutation. Maybe there will be unexpected gains. After dealing with the giant python, Ling Feng returned to the gas station with ease. Wang Long, who was sitting on the python and smoking, saw Ling Feng coming back and hurried forward to check if he was injured. Solved? Wang Long asked indifferently. Ling Feng nodded. Hurry up and find the oil storage room of this gas station. The situation outside is too dangerous. The two took tools and started digging on the ground to find the entrance to the oil storage room. After 2 hours of continuous digging, they finally found the entrance to the oil storage room. This is also thanks to the fact that the two have undergone genetic serum transformation. If ordinary people stay outdoors for 2 hours, they can't stand it. After entering the oil storage room, Ling Feng smiled at the 4 full tanks of fuel. With these fuels, relying on the system's copy function, it will be enough for me to use for decades. Ling Feng put all 4 cans of fuel into the space, and Wang Long, who was standing next to him, was stunned. Ling Feng had told him before that he had accidentally gained superpowers and could store objects in a different space, and asked him to keep it secret. Originally, he thought Ling Feng was fooling him, but just now he saw 4 cans of super large fuel disappear out of thin air. He was stunned. Really have superpowers? I really want to have them. Fengzi, how did you awaken your superpowers? Wang Long asked with envy. Ling Feng looked at him with a smile and said, I don't know, I got it after a sleep. Then he ignored him and walked outside. He had to leave quickly with the supplies. Outside it was too dangerous, and he didn't want to stay any longer. After returning to the outside, the two of them left on a motorcycle and took away the body of the giant python. In the suburbs of Shangjing City, in an ordinary residential building, 5 men in uniform lined up to enter the basement. The leader of the 5 was a square-faced man about 30 years old, with a cold face and a serious expression. He was very strong and looked like a man who had undergone special training. After a group of people came to the basement, they got on the elevator again, and the elevator went down to the underground. During the period of global power outages, the elevators here can still be used normally. The elevator went down to 30 meters underground before stopping, and the elevator door opened. Several people walked out of the elevator and came to the deepest office in the underground space. The square-faced man bowed to a man sitting in the office to report. Brother Chong, Yin Shi, and the others were killed. We found their bodies downstairs in the Tianhu pharmaceutical building. Yin Shi was killed after using the violent serum. The man named Brother Chong had a face that was neither happy nor sad. He tapped the table regularly with his fingers and closed his eyes, not knowing what he was thinking. You said Yin Shi was still killed after using the violent serum? The man opened his eyes and looked at the square-faced man and asked in a low voice. The square-faced man looked at the man's calm face, and his face couldn't help but show some fear. Yes, Brother Chong, the mutation of the body of the silver snake was obviously caused by the use of serum. Wang Chong narrowed his eyes slightly. and his face became a little ugly. It seems that the one who killed him is also a genetic warrior, and he is very powerful. What did you find at Tianhu Pharmaceutical? I took the brothers to search carefully and found that the place had been searched and even the laboratory equipment was taken away. No useful information was found in the entire building. The square-faced man said cautiously, fearing that his boss would be angry. Wang Chang touched his chin and looked at the square-faced man with a look of dissatisfaction. The square-faced man was unsure about what Wang Chang saw, and his legs began to tremble uncontrollably. Based on his understanding of this leader, his current expression was obviously a precursor to an emotional outburst. He was about to explain for himself, but Wang Chang took out a pistol and shot the square-faced man in the head. The square-faced man was shot dead. The group of younger brothers under the square-faced man were so frightened that their faces turned pale. They all lowered their heads and dared not even breathe. Chapter 66. Wang Chang calmly put away his pistol and said to the group of pale-faced subordinates, "You guys take care of the body for me. Then call Kwang Hu over to me." The group of subordinates below breathed a sigh of relief as if they had been pardoned, and several of them hurriedly carried the body out. Wang Chang sat on a swivel chair and played with the pistol in his hand. After a while, a muscular man with a full beard came in front of him. "Boss, why did you call me here?" Kwang Hu looked unhappy. He was just playing cards with a group of younger brothers below, and his luck was just hot when he was suddenly called over by him. Wang Chang looked at Kwang Hu, who didn't respect him very much. Although he was a little angry in his heart, he didn't scold him. There was no way, who told him that he was one of the top 5 genetic warriors in the organization and had made many contributions to the organization. If he quit, then there would be one less powerful warrior. He has the power to be arrogant. Silver Snake is dead, Wang Chang said with a gloomy look. What? Kwang, who was instantly furious, clenched his fists tightly, and the whole joints of his hands creaked. He hit the wall beside him with one hand, and a 2-centimeter deep fingerprint instantly appeared on the wall. Silver Snake is his best friend, and he has spent so many lonely nights with Silver Snake. The two have many good memories. They were playing poker together last night, but they didn't expect that this separation would be forever. They are good brothers who know each other well. Now that Silver Snake is killed, who will spend the night with him in the future? Who did it? Kwang Hu gritted his teeth and said hoarsely. Wang Chang looked at Kwang Hu's expression and was secretly happy. It seems that he doesn't need to mobilize himself. As long as he is guided a little, he will go to investigate by himself. I don't know yet, but Silver Snake died in Tianhu building. I suspect that this matter is related to the people of Tianhu Company. I have sent people to investigate Ling Tianhu's family members. I believe there will be results soon. I will tell you as soon as there is a result. Also, don't be impulsive. The other party may have been injected with the genetic serum developed by Ling Tianhu. The strength is very strong. Wang Chang kept comforting Kwang Hu. Humph, I don't care who he is. I must let him know how powerful I am. Let me participate in the investigation of this matter. I want to find the murderer as soon as possible. Kwang Hu smiled disdainfully and didn't care about his words. Okay, this matter is left to you. Wang Chang saw that his goal was achieved, and he felt proud. This idiot, he only knows how to fight and kill every day, and doesn't know how to use wisdom. But with his participation, this matter can be solved quickly. The higher-ups have urged him many times to find the research data and genetic serum samples hidden by Ling Tianhu. Ling Feng and Wang Long, who had returned to Zizhuan on a snowmobile, parted ways at the gate of the villa area. Ling Feng drove the snowmobile to a deserted place and put the motorcycle into the space. Ling Feng saw that some people had started digging holes around his villa area. Zhang Ning stood aside and directed others to work in an orderly manner. Ling Feng was quite satisfied with Zhang Ning's performance. This man is worthy of being a construction company. He is very professional in arranging the construction. In just half a day, there have been considerable results. The snow in the whole yard has been basically cleared, and it looks a lot more comfortable. Zhang Ning saw Ling Feng walking towards him and hurriedly trotted to meet him. He said with a flattering smile, "Master, you're back." Ling Feng nodded and patted his shoulder. "You did a good job. I'll give you a chicken leg as a reward at noon." When Zhang Ning heard this, a smile immediately spread across his face. Thank you, master. I'll definitely work hard. The people working around him looked at Zhang Ning with envy. He actually had a chicken leg to eat. That's a chicken leg. Just thinking about it makes me drool. If I could eat a chicken leg, I'd be willing to live 1 year less. Zhang Ning looked at the envious eyes around him and unconsciously straightened his chest. He couldn't help but feel complacent in his heart. I, Zhang Ning, will follow my master wholeheartedly in the future. These people are still saying behind my back that I am Ling Feng's dog. What's wrong with being a dog? There are chicken legs to eat. What's wrong with being a dog? Someone came up to him with a thick face and said to him with a flattering face, Brother Zhang, can you let me have a taste of the bones left over from the chicken legs you eat later? As long as you say so, I will listen to you in the future. Zhang Ning heard, frowned, and looked unhappy. The man who spoke was Lu Jingtian, who was the CEO of a logistics company and was very cunning. He often played tricks while working. What are you talking about? What do you mean by listening to me? We all have to listen to the master. Understand, this is a matter of principle. You have a problem with your thinking. Don't make this kind of problem again. Understand? Lu Jingtian was so scared that he kept explaining. If he told Ling Feng about this, it would be terrible. With Ling Feng's murderous character, he might kill himself directly. Brother Zhang, you misunderstood. I have always been loyal to the master. Well, that's fine, Zhang Ning said, and left with his head held high. After he walked away, Lu Jingtian spit fiercely on the ground, looking at Zhang Ning's back with vicious eyes. Bah! You are just pretending to be powerful. What kind of person is this? You only know how to show off. When I get rich, I will kill you all one by one. After Ling Feng made a round, he returned home. Lin Su came up to him, changed his clothes and shoes, and wiped his face with a hot towel. Ling Feng enjoyed Lin Su's service, looking very comfortable. How was your harvest today? Lin Su asked with a smile while changing his clothes. It's a good harvest. I'll show you later. After changing clothes, Ling Feng took Lin Su to the living room and said mysteriously, You have never seen this thing. Don't blink and look carefully. Lin Su's words aroused Lin Su's curiosity, and she looked at Ling Feng with wide eyes and nodded continuously. Here it comes. Ling Feng directly released the body and head of the python in the space. Ah! The moment Lin Su saw the python, she was so frightened that her face turned pale. She hugged Ling Feng tightly with both hands and buried her face in Ling Feng's arms. Ling Feng felt the 2 soft lumps on his chest and felt a little distracted. However, Lin Su was frightened. Her legs were trembling, and her face was pale without a trace of blood. Ling Feng felt that he had gone too far in his joke. He kept patting her back with both hands and comforted her softly. It's okay. I have killed this snake. Ling Feng didn't expect that the always cold Lin Su would be frightened like this. She screamed directly. It was the first time he saw Lin Su lose her composure like this. It seems that even a cold and arrogant girl can't resist the fear of snakes. Lin Su's face improved a little after Ling Feng's constant comfort. She slowly turned around and looked at the giant python. Although she knew that the giant python was dead, Lin Su still didn't dare to get close. She hugged Ling Feng's arms tightly with both hands. Chapter 67. Lin Su looked at the giant python that occupied the entire living room and kept taking deep breaths to relieve her nervousness. The panic in her eyes gradually calmed down. It's so big. How can there be such a big snake? Lin Su said with lingering fear. We'll have a full snake banquet tonight, you decide. Ling Feng cut a piece of snake meat with a tang knife and peeled the skin. The snake's skin was very hard and could even block bullets. Ling Feng collected the snake skin and prepared to keep it to make armor in the future. Although the snake skin was very hard, the snake meat inside felt very elastic. After giving the snake meat to Lin Su, Ling Feng came to the laboratory in the basement. He took the snake head out of the space and put it on the laboratory table. Ling Feng was going to open the giant python's head to study the cause of its mutation. He found tools and took great pains to split the skull in half. Hey, Ling Feng accidentally found a round, transparent crystal the size of a peanut in the snake's head. What is this? A tumor? Ling Feng muttered. The crystal is located in the center of the brain, and there are many nerves and blood vessels around the crystal connected to it. He took the transparent crystal out of the snake's brain and held it in his hand to observe carefully. The crystal feels very round and smooth and exudes a faint fragrance. Ling Feng put the crystal in the instrument and observed it carefully for a long time, but did not find anything special. Ling Feng put the crystal into the system space to upgrade. The system actually showed a prompt message. Ling Feng looked at the crystal suspended in the space with surprise. This is the third time that the system has seen this situation. The first 2 times were gene serum. It seems that this crystal is also a special item. Ling Feng opened the page to check it out with expectation. Top-grade Demon Beast Inner Pill. Contains very rich energy, which can help the human body improve physical fitness and develop the brain by 5%. See the system's description information. Ling Feng was pleasantly surprised. He did not expect that this thing could improve his physical fitness. This was a pleasant surprise. He took out the upgraded inner elixir from the space. This thing is called inner elixir. The upgraded inner elixir was milky white, similar in size to a longan, and exuded a rich fragrance that made people want to eat it. Ling Feng could not help swallowing his saliva. I don't know if this thing can be eaten directly. Ling Feng was a little hesitant with the inner elixir and did not dare to try it, but when he thought that this inner elixir was a product of the system upgrade, there should be no problem. Grit his teeth. Done. Throw the inner elixir directly into his mouth. After the inner elixir entered the mouth, it was swallowed very smoothly without any discomfort. Ling Feng walked to an open space and lay down, ready to face the severe pain that might occur again. To his surprise, there was no physical discomfort. On the contrary, it was very comfortable. A warm current slowly flowed from his stomach to all parts of his body. The whole person was like soaking in a hot spring, so comfortable that he couldn't help but shout out, "Oh, Flaxug!" Ling Feng lay on the ground with his eyes squinting with an expression of enjoyment, and his mouth made an intriguing sound. While feeling comfortable, Ling Feng was also constantly feeling the changes in his body. His heartbeat became very fast, and the heartbeat made a bang, bang, bang sound, strong and powerful. At this time, his brain was cool, and the past experiences kept flashing through his mind like movie clips. The whole process lasted for 2 hours, and the warm current slowly disappeared. The frequency of the heartbeat also slowly decreased, and finally became normal, and even the frequency was lower than before. Ling Feng stood up and stretched his body, and his body joints made a crackling sound. He clenched his fists to feel the changes in his body, and the whole person seemed to have endless strength. Compared with the past, there has been a huge change, and his mind has become clearer. In addition, his sensory ability has been greatly improved. He even heard the sound of Lin Su cooking on the first floor in the basement. You should know that the sound insulation of his basement is very good. He couldn't hear any sound in the basement before. He came to the gravity cabin to experiment to what extent his physical fitness has improved this time. He walked into the gravity cabin and closed the door and directly adjusted the gravity value to 80 times. Before, his limit was about 60 times, and this time it was directly increased to 80 times. Ling Feng didn't feel it very obviously. It seems that 80 times is not his limit, and he can continue to increase the gravity. 100 times, 130 times, 160 times. It was not until 200 times that Ling Feng felt the pressure, and finally Ling Feng persisted to 230 times. Reached the limit. After testing his limit, Ling Feng walked out of the gravity cabin with excitement on his face. I didn't expect that an inner elixir would directly increase my physical fitness several times. I worked hard for several months to reach 60 times. How much suffering I suffered. But an inner elixir not only made me break through comfortably, but also doubled the improvement. Ling Feng now has a yearning for the outside world again. If I can get a few more inner elixirs, wouldn't my data soon exceed 1,000? It seems that I can go out more often to see the outside world in the future. With his current strength, he can definitely kill the giant python easily again. Now he has a little self-protection power. 230 times the physical fitness of ordinary people. This defense bullet can't kill him. Ling Feng's self-confidence burst for a while. My punch now has at least 10,000 pounds of force. Who can resist it? Ling Feng looked at the time. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening. He went to the bathroom to take a shower. He had just sweated in the gravity cabin and his body was sticky. After taking a shower, he felt much more comfortable. He lit a cigarette and slowly walked to the first floor. He saw Lin Su serving dishes. I was just about to call you. Come and eat. Ling Feng looked at the table of dishes. The fragrance was so fragrant that he drooled. After his body had just been upgraded, his energy had long been consumed. Now he was so hungry that his chest was sticking to his back. Lin Su came over with a bottle of La Fight. Just woke up. It tastes better with this. Lin Su gestured to the red wine in her hand and said with a smile. She picked up the goblet and poured some red wine for Ling Feng. Ling Feng picked up a piece of braised pork and put it in his mouth to taste it slowly. His eyes lit up. The snake meat tasted smooth and tender and was very delicious. Ling Feng even showed off several pieces. In addition to braised snake meat, there is also snake soup. Snake soup is a soup made by stewing snake meat and chicken together, and it tastes very delicious. Lin Su named it Dragon and Phoenix Soup. Ling Feng praised Lin Su's cooking skills while eating. The two of them ate up a large table of dishes, and even Lin Su stopped eating when she couldn't eat anymore. Su, is the temperature in the room too high? Why do I feel so hot? Ling Feng unbuttoned his shirt and kept fanning himself, feeling very hot. No, the temperature in the room is still 25 degrees, no change, but it is indeed quite hot. Lin Su's face was also flushed, and there was fine sweat on her forehead. Her eyes were also a little blurred. He kept fanning his face with his hands. Ling Feng looked at Lin Su with a dry mouth and couldn't help but rush up. Chapter 68. Lin Su leaned on Ling Feng's strong chest. Her hair was slightly messy, and a blush was on her face. Her originally beautiful face added a touch of sexiness. Her pair of charming eyes were tired and satisfied. The two had just had an in-depth exchange for 3 hours, and the heat in their bodies slowly subsided. Why are you so? Lin Su looked at him with resentment. She was now completely exhausted and couldn't even lift her hands. Ling Feng, this bad guy, didn't know how to be gentle with women. Ling Feng looked at her with a smirk on his face, and his hands were not honest either. It's probably because of the snake meat. Snake meat itself has aphrodisiac effects, not to mention that this python has undergone mutation, so the effect must be stronger. Then you should eat less next time. Who can bear to eat so much? Okay, there is still a lot of snake soup in the pot. I will send it to Wang Long later to replenish him. Ling Feng carried Lin Su to the bedroom on the 3rd floor and put Lin Su on the bed to let her have a good rest. He put on his clothes and went to the kitchen on the 1st floor and put all the remaining snake soup in the pot into a casserole. Prepare to send it to Wang Long. When he arrived at Wang Long's house, Wang Long was eating instant noodles. When he saw the casserole in Ling Feng's hand, he walked over and took the casserole away. As soon as Ling Feng entered the house, he smelled the fragrance of the casserole. It smells so good. What kind of meat is this? While Wang Long was talking, he picked up a piece of meat and put it in his mouth, tasting it with a rich expression. It's so delicious. Ling Feng looked at Wang Long, who was eating heartily. This is the snake soup made by your sister-in-law to nourish you. Eat it, I'll go back first. Ling Feng said and left Wang Long's house quickly. After returning home, Ling Feng sat on the sofa and read a novel. Recently, he read the novel Rebirth of the Doomsday. I have 100 times copy system. This novel was so wonderful that he didn't even play games every day. After reading for about an hour, Wang Long called him. Ling Feng picked up the phone and answered it. Wang Long's heavy voice came from the other end of the phone. Did you put something in the snake soup? Why do I feel hot all over now? I took several cold showers, but it didn't work. Ling Feng almost laughed out loud when he heard this. This snake meat has the effect of strengthening yang. It's normal for you to be hot. Wang Long was so angry that he scolded Ling Feng. "Fuck, you kid are trying to trick me, aren't you? I'm a single dog, and you're giving me this stuff. Are you deliberately making me uncomfortable? Is there any way to relieve it? I have study materials. Do you want them?" Ling Feng smiled mysteriously. "Really?" When Wang Long heard that there were study materials, his voice changed with a hint of excitement in his tone. "Of course it's true. I'll give it to you in the basement." These study materials were collected by Ling Feng with great effort, and they were specially classified for his own learning. Ling Feng is a person who loves learning. In order to learn the knowledge points of teachers, he often watches the teacher's videos repeatedly. In practice from time to time, Ling Feng came to the basement and handed the hard drive with 10T of study materials to Wang Long, and gave him a few small toys by the way. Wang Long took the hard drive and toys and left in a hurry, without even saying a word to him. Just his face flushed a little. Another sleepless night. Ling Feng sighed at the power of the Snake King and prepared to go back to sleep. The next morning, Ling Feng got up early. In order to let Lin Su sleep a little longer, he got up and cooked by himself today. Lin Su was very tired last night, so he let her have a good rest today. After a simple breakfast, Ling Feng went out. He first checked the execution of the secret sentries at several entrances of the villa. The effect was not bad. The vigilance of the sentries was good, and they were well concealed. Ling Feng was quite satisfied with the sentries and rewarded each of them with a bag of bread. The eyes of the rewarded people were full of excitement, and they were more motivated to work. After checking the situation of the secret sentries, he rode his motorcycle out again. Today he was going to search for some weapons. If he wanted to find powerful weapons, he had to go to the barracks of the army. As a veteran, he was quite familiar with the garrison troops in Shanjing City. Before the end of the world, there was about a brigade of troops stationed in the suburbs of Shanjing City. The station is located in a place called Shishan Town. Shishan Town is still a bit far from Zizhuan, but now there is basically no activity on the road, and the journey time is shortened by half. Snowmobile full power, it takes about an hour and a half to drive. Ling Feng rode the snowmobile toward Shishan Town and passed several communities on the way. When the snowmobile passed by, it attracted a lot of attention, and some people looked at Ling Feng with jealous eyes. Some people would open the window to ask for help. Ling Feng ignored all these. He had no relatives or friends with these people, so why bother with such trivial matters? But if someone provokes him, he will not swallow his anger. When Ling Feng was riding his bike and approaching the gate of a community, he saw 6 or 7 people standing on the road at the gate of the community. After seeing Ling Feng, a group of people immediately put a thick tree trunk across the road to block his way. Ling Feng braked urgently, and the motorcycle slid on the road for dozens of meters and finally stopped 5 meters away from the tree trunk. Ling Feng looked at the few people who were gradually approaching him, and each of them had a hint of bloodthirstiness in their eyes. It seems that these people are also a group of desperate criminals, and they should have killed many people in this community. "Boy, leave your car and the supplies on your body," one of the middle-aged men in a mink coat said in a deep voice, with a trace of ferocity in his eyes. It seems that he should be the boss of this group of people. Ling Feng sneered at the corner of his mouth, and the murderous intent in his eyes flashed. "There are really blind people. Robbery hits himself. Get out or die," Ling Feng said sternly. Hearing Ling Feng's threat, the middle-aged man not only did not get angry but laughed. His younger brothers also laughed. "Boy, stop pretending here. I have dozens of lives on my hands, and you want me to get out?" The middle-aged man looked at Ling Feng with disdain, and at the same time waved to his younger brothers. "Tie this guy up for me. I hate those who pretend to be cool. I'm going to tear his mouth apart." 2 of the younger brothers volunteered to stand up and looked at Ling Feng with a joking look on their faces. "You're in trouble. You'll be in trouble if you mess with our boss." Ling Feng got off the motorcycle and moved his joints. The 2 thugs saw that Ling Feng was ready to fight them for real and walked towards him with unfriendly faces. Ling Feng stood still and waited for them to attack. One of the thugs rushed up with a quick step, waving his fist and hitting Ling Feng in the face. Seeing that the fist was about to fall on Ling Feng's face, the thug was happy in his heart, and he had some contempt for Ling Feng in his heart. Wasn't he quite good at pretending just now? Now he was so scared that he didn't dare to move. Just when he thought he was about to knock Ling Feng down, his wrist had been tightly grasped by Ling Feng without knowing when. Before he could react, Ling Feng's fist had already hit him in the face. Bang! A sound like a watermelon bursting rang out. The gangster's head was directly blown up by Ling Feng's punch. The scene immediately fell into a deathly silence. Chapter 69. Another thug who wanted to attack was so scared that he froze in place. Ling Feng didn't give him time to react and directly hit his head with a left swing. It took only a few seconds to do all this. Before the rest of the people could react, the two thugs had become nameless male corpses. The broken flesh and brains of the two were scattered all over the place. This bloody scene scared the people not far away like grandchildren. Is this one-punch man a punch that knocked out the brains of a person? The few people who were talking and laughing just now suddenly became quiet. They looked at the bloody scene not far away with horror. The man in the mink coat swallowed hard. He was so scared that he wanted to run, but his legs were shaking and he couldn't listen to him. The other brothers were full of fear. They wanted to run, but when they saw their boss standing still with a calm face, they also stopped. Ling Feng shook off the blood on his hands and walked towards the leather jacket man. There was a murderous look in his eyes. You are quite courageous. You dare to stand here and not leave. You are a man. The leather jacket man's eyes were full of pain. Courageous? If my legs were not weak, I would have run away long ago. Brother, it's all misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, the leather jacket man said with a smile. Oh, misunderstanding? Ling Feng walked in front of the leather jacket man and asked with a smile. It's really a misunderstanding. A bang sounded, and the leather jacket man, who had not finished speaking, was hit in the head by Ling Feng. I hate others threatening me the most. Dare to rob me. Do you have the strength to do so? Ling Feng said carelessly. The other people present were terrified and knelt down to beg for mercy. Brother, spare me. We were all forced to do this. This is my first time out today, and I didn't do anything. I'll follow you in the future, brother. Give me a chance. Ling Feng sneered and looked at these people with disdain. For what they said, he didn't believe it at all. Do you want to survive after meeting him? He took out a pistol and said to the group of people, I'll give you a chance to escape. I'll shoot in 3 seconds. If you could dodge, I won't kill you. When several gangsters heard this, their eyes flashed with a strong desire to survive. 3. Run in different directions. I don't know who said it, and several gangsters fled quickly in all directions, showing 100% of their strength. 2-1. Ling Feng quickly pulled the trigger, and after 5 gunshots, there were 5 more bodies on the ground. After dealing with everyone, he rode the snowmobile again and left. After what happened just now, the journey was relatively smooth. An hour later, Ling Feng arrived at Shishan Town smoothly. Ling Feng looked up and saw that the entire Shishan Town was covered with ice and snow, with only a few taller buildings showing. Ling Feng came to the location of the military camp, according to the approximate direction. Looking at the barracks covered with ice and snow, Ling Feng was a little overwhelmed. The area of the barracks is very large, covering an area of hundreds of acres. It takes a lot of time to find the location of the ammunition depot in such a large area. Ling Feng sat on the motorcycle, lit a cigarette, looked at the area, and constantly analyzed the location of the ammunition depot in his mind. Based on his experience in the army, he analyzed the areas where the ammunition depot might exist and marked 3 locations. After determining the location, Ling Feng decided to start digging. In order to speed up the digging speed, he directly found a fuel-cutting machine from the space and started cutting the ground. He used a cutting machine to cut out a square on the ground, and then used an icebreaker to break the frozen layer inside the square. With the help of his strong physical strength, he soon dug to the building below. Ling Feng went to check with excitement, and found that it was just a garage, and all the military vehicles inside had been driven away. Ling Feng was a little disappointed that he had worked in vain, and began to dig towards the next area. After an hour of full-scale digging, the building layer was also dug in the second area. When he saw the sturdy explosion-proof door, Ling Feng instantly had a bottom in his heart. This time he finally found the right place. After clearing the snow in front of the door, he kicked the explosion-proof door open. When he came to the inside of the ammunition depot, Ling Feng was dumbfounded by the empty shelves. There was not even a bullet in such a large ammunition depot. Did someone come here in advance? Ling Feng couldn't help but mutter in his heart. But he soon denied this idea. There was no sign of clearing the snow on the ammunition depot. I should be the first one to come here. This means that these ammunitions had been moved away before the end of the world. Another suspicious thing is that Ling Feng did not find a single body during the excavation. It seems that the army here got the news in advance, and all the people and weapons have been withdrawn. Ling Feng was a little unwilling to give up and decided to look carefully. He ran all the way here and spent so much effort, but didn't get anything. There are several small rooms in the ammunition depot. Maybe there are some things in them. With a fluke mentality, he came to several small rooms deep in the ammunition depot. Ling Feng turned on the headlight and entered the first room. This room was full of gun cabinets, but the cabinet doors were all open and there was nothing inside. Ling Feng looked at the cabinets one by one, but found nothing until he came to a cabinet in the corner. This cabinet was still locked. Ling Feng shook the cabinet with his hand, and it was heavy. There is stock. Ling Feng's face was immediately filled with smiles. With a slight force on his hand, the lock on the gun cabinet broke. He opened the cabinet door with excitement. Machine gun. What a good thing. Ling Feng jumped up excitedly. It turned out to be a machine gun. 5 squad machine guns were neatly placed in the cabinet, and they were all brand new and unused. This machine gun is the latest equipment issued to the entire army. It has a capacity of 200 rounds, a fast firing rate, and strong power. It is also equipped with a professional sight, which can accurately strike even at a long distance. Ling Feng put the machine gun into the space and prepared to upgrade it. After the upgrade, the machine gun has an expanded capacity of 1,000 rounds, a firing rate of 3,000 rounds per minute, and a range of 4,000 meters. In addition, the durability of the upgraded machine gun has been greatly enhanced, and the service life of the barrel has reached 1 million rounds. Seeing the performance of this machine gun, Ling Feng was overjoyed. With this machine gun, the defense capability of his villa could be greatly improved. However, after seeing the firing rate of this machine gun, he was a little anxious. He only had less than 1 million bullets in his hand. If he used a machine gun, it would not be enough. It seems that he needs to collect more bullets. After searching the whole room, Ling Feng did not find anything else, so he prepared to search the second room. When he opened the door of the second room, he was stunned and looked ecstatic. Chapter 70. The second room was filled with ammunition. Ling Feng kept stroking the ammunition like a child who found a new toy. He roughly estimated that there were about 200,000 bullets. In addition, there were 20 boxes of grenades, 30 grenades in each box, a total of 600 grenades. This is really rich. Ling Feng excitedly put the ammunition into the space. With these ammunition, and then using the system's copy function, his ammunition can be used boldly. Especially the grenades. There are more than 60,000 grenades. And next time I fight with someone, I can just throw dozens of grenades. It's cool to think about it. After collecting the supplies in the second room, Ling Feng went to several other rooms. Unfortunately, the rest of the rooms were all empty, and the ammunition inside had all been transported away. But Ling Feng was also satisfied, and today's harvest was far beyond his expectations. Ling Feng guessed that this unit must have left in a hurry, otherwise there would not be any supplies left. It seems that the official core institutions should still be there, but they haven't come out yet. But he didn't care. Even if the official institutions existed, the current society would definitely not return to its previous state. Anyway, as long as he lives a good life, no matter who he is, as long as he is provoked, he will be killed. After collecting the supplies, Ling Feng walked out of the ammunition depot and came to the snow outside. He ran into 10 soldiers in military uniforms. They were all strong and stern. Judging from the momentum and standing posture of these people, they should not be ordinary soldiers. Each of them is a special forces soldier who has undergone rigorous training, and one of them is full of murderous aura. It can be seen that he has killed someone. After seeing Ling Feng, the team of soldiers immediately raised their guns and surrounded him. "Who are you? What do you want to do here?" One of the officers with the rank of second lieutenant asked coldly. Ling Feng did not have any weapons in his hands, and all his things were put into the space by him. "I'm a resident nearby. I came here to see if there are any supplies that can be used," Ling Feng said casually. The lieutenant's expression changed slightly, and his sharp eyes kept scanning him. Obviously, he didn't believe what he said. This handsome young man in front of him was facing the threat of so many weapons. But he was not afraid at all. Most people can't be as calm as him, and this person always gave him a sense of danger. "I suspect you have a problem. You have to go back and accept our investigation," the lieutenant said seriously. "Go back? Where to go?" Ling Feng looked at him with some confusion. "Of course it's the official shelter. I advise you not to play tricks. Otherwise I will let you die without knowing how you died." The lieutenant looked at him with a stern face. The words were full of threats. Can you not go?" Ling Feng looked embarrassed. "Okay, as long as you bring out enough supplies, I'll let you go." "Huh?" Ling Feng sneered. From the tone of their voice, it didn't sound like something a soldier would say. Their style of behavior was more like that of a gangster. "Huh? What are you laughing at?" The second lieutenant looked at him unkindly, aiming the gun at Ling Feng's head. "Boy, don't challenge my patience." Ling Feng was not afraid of having a gun pointed at his head, and still looked at the second lieutenant calmly. "I hate having a gun pointed at my head the most." The second lieutenant looked at him with a mocking look on his face, tilting his head and looking at him provocatively. "I'm pointing at your head now, so what? Pretend to be cool." As soon as he finished speaking, he felt a pain in his wrist, and he looked down. The hand holding the gun was cut off at some point and fell to the ground, and the severed palm was still holding the gun. The intense pain made him sweat all over. He looked at the smiling man in front of him, and a trace of fear rose in his heart. "It's you? You hurt me." He didn't even see Ling Feng's move just now, and his palm was cut off directly. This was simply too terrible. The other soldiers saw their superiors injured, and before they could figure out what happened, they saw Ling Feng standing behind them like a ghost. Several people turned around and wanted to shoot, but found that Ling Feng moved too fast and couldn't aim at the target at all. Everyone could only shoot at Ling Feng randomly. Ling Feng, on the other side, kept dodging the bullets. With his current 230 times physical strength, he could easily dodge the bullets. He took out the Tang sword and rushed towards one of the soldiers to go. His knife was so fast that the naked eye could not see the trajectory of the knife. The soldier saw Ling Feng coming towards him and hurriedly prepared to turn the gun to shoot. But it was too late. Ling Feng's knife swept directly towards his neck. The soldier felt a sudden chill on his neck. He wanted to look down, but he only saw his headless body. Then he lost consciousness. After killing one person, Ling Feng continued to swing the Tang knife to attack the other 8 people. At his extreme speed, no one could resist his knife. In just a few seconds, all the soldiers on the field were beheaded by Ling Feng, leaving only a lieutenant with one hand cut off. The lieutenant looked at Ling Feng with fear and regretted it in his heart. "I should have let him go earlier. Why did I provoke him? It seems that I have failed today. We are official people. If you dare to kill us, aren't you afraid of official sanctions? Even if you are a superpower, you must abide by the rules," the lieutenant said sternly. "Oh, official? Superpower? Tell me everything you know, and I can consider sparing your life." When the lieutenant heard this, a trace of joy flashed in his eyes. As long as he can survive, it doesn't matter if he tells a little secret. This is not a secret. As long as he can go back alive and report this matter to the superiors, the leaders will definitely send someone to investigate. It won't be too late to take revenge then. A real man can bend and stretch. After persuading himself, the lieutenant began to introduce the shelter and information about superpowers to Ling Feng in detail. Through the lieutenant's explanation, he also had a detailed understanding of this shelter and superpowers. This so-called official shelter was originally established by a high-ranking military officer. However, the high-ranking military officer was later killed by a superpower, and then the superpower became the leader of the shelter. The so-called superpower is a person whose body mutates after the end of the world. They have mastered one or several superpowers. For example, the current leader of the shelter has mastered the superpower of speed, which is many times faster than ordinary people. The superpower has explosive combat power and can easily kill ordinary people. I have said everything I should say. Can you let me go now? After the lieutenant said all this, he looked at Ling Feng expectantly, with pleading in his eyes. The location of his wound has been frozen, and he has no feeling. If he is not treated in time, I am afraid that his whole hand will be disabled. No! Ling Feng's knife flashed and chopped off his head. To cut the grass, you must root it out. He doesn't want to expose himself. He put away all the weapons of these people, took out the snowmobile from the space, and drove towards home. Chapter 71. In the suburbs of Shangjing City. In an underground base, Zhang Ergu lay on the sofa leisurely, and a woman with exquisite makeup behind him skillfully massaged his shoulders. There were two beautifully dressed girls on both sides of him. Even if the weather outside was freezing, his office was still warm as spring. He stretched out his right hand and made a scissors hand gesture. The girl next to him immediately handed him a cigarette, and another girl came up to light it for him. Zhang Ergu took a deep puff of the cigarette, and his hands wandered around the two girls dishonestly. The two girls blushed because of his teasing, and their breathing gradually became heavier. Zhang Ergu also got interested and was about to proceed to the next step. There was an inopportune knock on the door outside. Zhang Ergu frowned and looked a little ugly. What kind of person is so annoying? You know how to choose the time. Come in, Zhang Ergu said in a bad tone. As soon as the voice fell, a middle-aged man rushed in from outside the door. The man looked anxious and said to Zhang Ergu respectfully, Lord, the 15th search team we sent out has not returned yet, and the satellite phone has not responded. I suspect something has happened. After listening to the man's report, Zhang Ergu did not show any emotion on his face, but just slowly exhaled smoke. But his cold eyes stared at the middle-aged man below. Long Hao, you're the captain of the search team. You don't need to report to me for such a small matter in the future. You can handle it at your discretion. If I have to decide everything, why do I keep you? Zhang Ergu said the last sentence, and his voice suddenly roared. You ruined my good deeds, and the result is just because of such a small matter. You deliberately made me unhappy, right? Isn't it just a few people who died? What's the fuss? I was just worrying about not having enough food and thinking about how to deal with a group of people. Isn't it a good thing that 10 people died? Long Hao felt Zhang Ergu's anger and looked a little horrified. Although he was unhappy, he couldn't show it. Long Hao cursed in his heart. This Zhang Ergu didn't know shit. If it wasn't because he was a superpower and couldn't beat him, he would have torn Zhang Ergu in half. A street gangster because he awakened his superpowers, killed the person in charge of the base, and controlled the base with powerful force, and gave himself the title of the Lord of the Middle School. Since this guy ruled the Foundation, he has been thinking about pleasure every day, squeezing the people at the bottom, and anyone who disobeys management will be killed. Treating him, the search captain, is either beating or scolding, showing no mercy at all. It's really not a son of man. Although Long Hao resented Zhang Ergu in his heart, he had no strength to resist and could only bow his head and endure it. After Zhang Ergu had finished scolding, he calmed down a bit and waved at Long Hao. If you have nothing to do, go out. I have other things to deal with. Long Hao lowered his head and left the room. Zhang Ergu closed his eyes and continued to enjoy the massage. Only at this time was he happiest. He was originally a gangster, but now he has mastered powerful abilities. He enjoys and plays every day. After so much hardship, what's wrong with enjoying it? His dream has finally come true. The woman who gave him a massage flashed a trace of contempt in her eyes, but she quickly covered it up and put on a sweet smile. Lord, you are angry. Do you want me to help you relax? Zhang Ergu's closed eyes suddenly opened. and his face was full of smiles. "Zihan, you still understand me? Come on." Yang Zihan smiled sweetly and leaned down meekly. 3 minutes later, Yang Zihan stood up with a flushed face and stood next to Zhang Ergu again. Zhang Ergu was very satisfied with Yang Zihan's performance. He felt very satisfied when he thought that a big internet celebrity was conquered by him every day. He just went out to get some fresh air that day, but he didn't expect to meet Yang Zihan, a super beauty. He just paid a little food, and a beautiful woman followed him wholeheartedly. Don't look at Yang Zihan's innocence. She actually knows a lot, and the main point is a contrast. Even a superpowered person like him can't resist it. Yang Zihan, who was standing behind him, said gently, "Lord, are you still worried about food?" Zhang Ergu nodded. "Yes, we have thousands of people in the base, and we consume a lot of food every day. Now the team that goes out to search for food every day has less and less harvest, so I'm worried. I don't know a place with plenty of food." Yang Zihan smiled. "Oh, where?" Zhang Ergu immediately became interested. Seeing that Zhang Ergu was successfully interested, Yang Zihan began to tell him about Ling Feng's hoarding of a large amount of supplies. After listening to Yang Zihan's words, Zhang Ergu's face was also full of smiles. But he still didn't believe that an ordinary person could store so many supplies. Does Ling Feng really have so many supplies at home? Of course. How dare I lie to you, Lord? Yang Zihan said with a face pretending to be nervous. But she sneered in her heart. "Ling Feng, Lin Su, aren't you very powerful? Let me see how you deal with it this time. Since you don't let me be well, then no one else can be well." And Ling Ke, that bitch, actually took advantage of my misfortune, stole my gun while I was sleeping, and kicked me out. I must make you suffer 100 times more. Zhang Ergu looked at her expression. It didn't seem like she was lying, so he dispelled his doubts. He touched his chin and didn't know what he was thinking. "Go and call Long Hao to me." Zhang Ergu ordered the girl serving beside him. The girl got the order and ran out in a hurry. After a while, Long Hao stood in front of him again with a respectful face. Long Hao arranged people to go to a villa area called Zizuan and capture a young man named Ling Feng and the woman in his family. He just heard that Ling Feng's family also has a big beauty, really big, and he was instantly moved. By the way, there is also food in his family. This man has a gun in his hand. You arrange 100 people to go. Go quickly. After receiving Zhang Ergu's order, Long Hao did not dare to hesitate. After walking out of Zhang Ergu's office, he rushed to the barracks of the base. Long Hao called a squadron leader under his command. Soon a dark-skinned, thin man came over. This man is called Ma Wu, who has been with him for many years. He is his confidant and absolutely obeys his orders. "Captain, you are looking for me." Ma Wu was serious, with a cold face and a low voice. Long Hao nodded and then arranged this task for him and asked him to prepare immediately and set off immediately. "You take 100 brothers over, bring more ammunition. This man has a gun in his hand. You guys be careful." A trace of disdain flashed across Ma Wu's face, and he somewhat disagreed with Long Hao's arrangement. "It's just to capture one person. Why do we need to send so many people? This is a bit too cautious. The soldiers under his command are all special forces, and each of them can fight 10 people at once. It's easy to capture one person, but after all, it's the leader's arrangement, so I just have to do it." After Ma Wu received the order, he began to quickly gather soldiers, and after preparing sufficient ammunition, a group of people set out towards the target in an orderly manner. Chapter 72. After collecting weapons and ammunition in Xishan town, Ling Feng rode his motorcycle to return. After driving for an hour and a half, he finally arrived at the road near the villa area. Suddenly, he found a figure flashing in the distance. Although the distance was far, his vision was 100 times better than that of ordinary people. The figure that just flashed quickly hid after seeing him, and there was more than one person around him. Ling Feng saw 5 or 6 people alone. He didn't know if there were any Tibetans in places he couldn't see. Although they were all wearing white clothes, Ling Feng still noticed them. Ling Feng sneered. It seems that these people are coming for him. He stopped the car immediately and stopped 400 meters away from this group of people. He took out his favorite sniper rifle from the space and hid behind a car next to him. Now he didn't know what the situation on the other side was, so he couldn't rush forward. Who knew if there were large weapons or superpowers on the other side? Ever since he learned that there were superpowers in this world, he no longer dared to be blindly confident and became more cautious. Problems that can be solved at a distance with a sniper rifle will never be solved in close combat. He observed the enemy's situation through the scope. After the other side found that he had stopped the car and was hiding, 4 of them quietly came up from both sides of the road. Ling Feng aimed at the person walking in front and shot him in the head. Bang! The man's head was directly shattered by the bullet. The other 3 people who were approaching were directly shocked by the situation in front of them. Qing Chun, a middle-aged man standing behind him, looked at his companion, who was shot in the head, and looked shocked. Then he looked angry. He looked at Ling Feng in the distance fiercely and continued to move forward. Just when Ling Feng was about to continue shooting, gunshots were heard from the opposite side. But the shooting skills of the opposite side were too poor, and the bullets landed several meters away from Ling Feng. He changed the distance, continued to aim, and fire in the direction of the shooting. The middle-aged man was also shot in the head. On the other side, 2 people who wanted to come over turned around and ran away when they saw their companions being brutally shot. Ling Feng did not favor one over the other, and gave each person a peanut, fair and just. After the death of 4 people, the other side began to fall into peace and did not send anyone out. Based on the performance of these people just now, Ling Feng judged that these people were a group of ordinary people, not professionally trained soldiers. But why did these people ambush him for no reason? Also, how did they know that he was out today? It seems that some of the owners in Zizhuan are not honest enough. I was too good to them before. Ling Feng's eyes flashed a trace of coldness. But for now, let's solve the current trouble first. Ling Feng continued to aim at these people, but they all hid behind the bunkers and did not come out. Obviously, the 4 people who had just died made them afraid to show their heads. Thinking of this, Ling Feng came up with a plan and took out a grenade from the space. He decided to use a grenade to attack. Although the distance between the 2 sides was 400 meters, with his abnormal physical strength, the grenade could be easily thrown 400 meters away. Ling Feng took out 20 grenades from the space and decided to give them a group of human mortars to cover the artillery fire. Pick up a grenade, pull the safety, and throw it directly towards the hiding area on the opposite side. The grenade was like an arrow from a string, flying towards the enemy on the opposite side at an extremely fast speed. Hu Tian, who was hiding behind the bunker, was discussing how to take down Ling Feng. Boom! A loud noise sounded next to him. Hu Tian hurriedly turned his head to look over, and the 2 companions 10 meters away from him were directly blown into several sections. Seeing this scene, Hu Tian's eyes were red with anger. These people were from the same village and had a close relationship with him. Just a few minutes ago, they were still chatting together. In a blink of an eye, they were blown into pieces. He hurriedly notified others to take cover. Boom, boom. The explosions began to sound one after another. The area where they were was instantly blown into pieces. The explosions were mixed with screams, one after another. After more than 20 consecutive explosions, the scene finally returned to peace. Hu Tian crawled out of a ruin. When he saw the tragic scene, he was directly scared out of his wits. The 15 villagers he brought with him were all killed, and he was the only one left at the scene. He was both scared and angry. He looked in the direction of Ling Feng and saw Ling Feng riding a motorcycle towards him slowly. The original normal engine sound, now heard, it sounded like a curse that was urging him to die. He turned around and ran without saying anything. He didn't want to stay and wait for death. But how could he run faster than the motorcycle? Soon Ling Feng drove the motorcycle in front of him. Ling Feng looked at the strange face in front of him. He had never seen this person in front of him and had never had any intersection with him. Why did he want to kill him? Ling Feng pulled out the car key, walked in front of Hu Yong, and said coldly, "Who are you? Why are you ambushing me?" Hu Yong looked at him fiercely and didn't say anything. Ling Feng saw that he was a little stubborn, so he raised the gun in his hand and pointed it at his head. Hu Yong was frightened by the gun pointing at his head, and his legs softened and he knelt on the ground. I say, don't shoot. We are from Hujiazwang. Ling Feng glanced at him and motioned him to continue. Hu Yong also told all his origins and purposes in one go. It turned out that these people were from Hujiazwang, not far from here. A few days ago, a young man who worked in construction in the city said that there was a very solid villa here, and this villa was built by him. I guess a lot of food is stored in it. After the village leader got the information, he was very happy. The food resources in their village were not enough. Now that they heard that Ling Feng had supplies here, they immediately decided to organize the young people in the village to come here to fight the local tyrants. They had been investigating for several days. When they saw Ling Feng leaving in the morning, they started digging traps, and a group of people ambushed and waited for Ling Feng to take the bait. I thought it was a done deal, but I didn't expect to pay a painful price in the end. Who is the person who leaked the information to you? Ling Feng shouted coldly. It's Hu Yong. Hu Yong. Ling Feng suddenly realized that it was no wonder that these people didn't know him at all and dared to attack him. It turned out to be Hu Yong. Hu Yong is a salesman of Huaqiang Security Company. He was in contact with Hu Yong when building the safe house. I didn't expect that this person would dare to set his sights on him after the end of the world. He really doesn't know how to live or die. Ling Feng looked at Hu Tian with a cold expression and asked in a low voice, Did Hu Yong come today? He said he didn't feel well today and didn't come. Hu Tian was nervous and said tremblingly. Ling Feng sneered, walked in front of Hu Tian, took out a cable tie from the space, and tied Hu Tian's hands behind his back. Take me to find Hu Yong. I will spare your life. Hu Tian didn't dare to disobey, so he had to nod continuously. Ling Feng threw him on the back seat of the motorcycle and rode the motorcycle towards Hujiazwang. Chapter 73. Ling Feng drove Hu Tian for 15 minutes and arrived at Hujiazwang. I didn't expect that they were so close to Zizuan. No wonder these people could walk to Zizuan. Ling Feng suddenly realized. When he arrived at the head of Hujiazwang, Ling Feng saw someone standing guard. It seems that this village is not simple. Ling Feng raised his left hand and threw Hu Tian, who was sitting in the back seat, out of the car. Because his hands were tied behind his back and he couldn't support the ground with his hands, Ling Feng's throwing directly made his face and the ground come into close contact. Hu Tian grimaced in pain. Although he was angry, he didn't dare to get angry. Lead the way. Ling Feng put away the motorcycle and followed behind Hu Tian. Hu Tian had a sad face and limped in front to lead the way. The two villagers standing guard at the entrance of the village soon found Hu Tian's figure, and also saw the strange man walking behind him. The two hurried up holding iron bars. Brother Tian, what's going on? One of the fat young men asked. When they got closer, they found that Hu Tian's hands were tied behind his back. They looked at Ling Feng with bad eyes. Who are you? You dare to tie up our people in Hujia village. Do you want to live? Follow me now. When the fat man wanted to say something, he found that his neck had been tightly grasped by Ling Feng at some point, and his whole body was lifted up. The fat man's face turned red, and his feet kept shaking. Fatty, fuck you. Bang! Before he finished speaking, he was shot in the head by Ling Feng. Blood splashed all over Hu Tian's face, and he was so scared that his crotch was wet. The look in his eyes when he looked at Ling Feng was full of fear, and the luck in his heart was gone. Keep going, Ling Feng said, and with a little force on his right hand, he directly strangled the fat young man's neck and threw him to the side of the road. Hu Tian trembled and walked to the door of Hu Yong's house. Here, Hu Tian said tremblingly. Can I go now? Hu Tian looked at him eagerly, with a look of pleading on his face. You can die now. Ling Feng shot directly at his heart. Hu Tian looked at his chest with horror, but he didn't expect that he would still die in the end, and then slowly fell down. Ling Feng looked at Hu Tian's body indifferently, without any pity in his heart. This group of people wanted to kill him, and now he killed them in return, which was their own fault. He knocked on the door of Hu Yong's house. After a while, Hu Yong, who was wrapped tightly, opened the door. The moment Hu Yong saw Ling Feng, his eyes were stunned. He didn't know why Ling Feng suddenly appeared at his doorstep, and his mind was full of thoughts. Didn't the village send people to his house? How come he is still alive? Did the group of people fail in their operation and gave themselves up? Manager who long time no see. Ling Feng looked at him with a smile. Mr. Ling, how come you have time to come here? Huyong said with a dry laugh. At the same time, he became alert. Oh, I'll see you off. Send me off? Huyong asked with some doubt. Of course I'm sending you off. Ling Feng said casually. Huyong understood Ling Feng's intention instantly. He took a step back urgently to distance himself from Ling Feng. Ling Feng looked at his reaction with some surprise, but he was relieved when he thought that he should be a soldier. It seems you know everything, Huyong said with a cold look on his face. At the same time, his hand quietly touched his waist. I advise you not to move, Ling Feng reminded calmly. Huyong smiled coldly and quickly took out the dagger from his waist with his right hand. Unfortunately, before he could raise his hand, it was shot by Ling Feng. Huyong subconsciously raised his hand. He only saw half of his bloody arm, and then the pain spread quickly throughout his body. The speed of the gun was so fast, he didn't even see Ling Feng's shot just now, and his arm was broken. What a quick shooter. Huyong endured the pain and looked at Ling Feng fiercely. Kill me. Our people in Hujiazwang will not let you go. Ling Feng ignored his gaze and said calmly. Then it depends on whether there are enough people in your Hujiazwang for me to kill. After that, he shot him in the head. After dealing with Huyong, Ling Feng rode his motorcycle and started to return to Zizhuan. After returning home, Ling Feng lay on the sofa to rest, feeling a little tired. Today, he encountered several troubles and killed dozens of people. He just wanted to be quiet. Why is life so hard? There are always troubles coming to the door. It's really annoying. Lin Su, who was busy in the kitchen, also saw Ling Feng's tired face and put down the cucumber in her hand. She walked behind Ling Feng and gently pressed his temple. Are you feeling better? Ling Feng squinted his eyes comfortably. Cough, cough, cough. Lin Su's cough came to his ears. Ling Feng opened his eyes, stood up from the sofa, and looked at Lin Su. Only then did he realize that her face looked a little bad and her lips were a little pale. Are you sick? Ling Feng asked with concern. It's okay. I just caught a cold. After that, he started coughing violently again, and his face became a little flushed because of coughing. Ling Feng pressed her to sit on the sofa, feeling a little distressed. You're sick. Why are you still in the kitchen? Go back to your room and sleep. Ling Feng picked her up and went upstairs, took out a box of cold medicine from the space, and brought her a cup of hot water for her to take the medicine. Lin Su took the medicine obediently, and closed her eyes and went to sleep at Ling Feng's request. Ling Feng looked at Lin Su, who was slowly falling asleep, and tiptoed out of the room. He came to the bar area on the second floor, took out a Cohiba cigar, and lit it. This cigar was his favorite brand, with a smooth taste, and the price of one was 1,800 yuan. He poured another glass of whiskey and tasted it slowly. After drinking a glass of wine, the fatigue of the day was also relieved a lot. Today, Lin Su's illness made him very worried. After all, Lin Su was an ordinary person, and it was easy to get sick in the end times. Unlike himself, since the injection of gene serum, his body has been strengthened and he basically won't get sick. Ling Feng considered whether to inject Lin Su with a gene serum. If Lin Su is genetically strengthened, not only will his physical fitness be strengthened, but he will not get sick. Strong physical fitness will also improve her self-protection ability. After thinking for a while, Ling Feng decided to inject her with a 100-fold enhanced gene serum, the same one that Wang Long injected. This serum was obtained from Ling Yutong's office. After a system upgrade, it can obtain a 100-fold increase in potential. Wang Long was injected with one before, and now he has 4 in his hand. After smoking a cigar, Ling Feng came to the room and saw Lin Su, who had woken up. Let's go. Take you to a place. Ling Feng stroked Lin Su's hair with a smile on his face. Chapter 74. Where are you going? Lin Su looked at Ling Feng's mysterious face and asked curiously. I'll give you an injection in the basement. Ling Feng pulled Lin Su out of bed and said as he walked. I'm not feeling well today. Let's do it another day. Lin Su blushed and said shyly. Ling Feng laughed out loud, and it was obvious that Lin Su had misunderstood and thought that she was going to the basement to do something. Ling Feng patted her head and said lovingly, "What are you thinking about? Let's go." Ling Feng took him to the basement and took out a gene serum from the space. This is gene serum, which has no side effects at all and can increase your potential 100 times. Are you willing to take the injection? Hearing Ling Feng's words, Lin Su was shocked. Of course, she knew what gene serum was. Ling Feng had successfully developed it, and it had no side effects. She took the serum from Ling Feng's hand, looked at it carefully, and her eyes were full of excitement. She has been studying gene serum these days. He also knows how difficult it is to study the serum. He didn't expect Ling Feng to succeed so quickly. He has just been in this industry for a short time. It's a myth to say it out. I do. Lin Su agreed without hesitation. She didn't want to hide behind Ling Feng all her life, and she also wanted to share some difficulties with Ling Feng. The reaction after injection of this serum is a bit strong. You'd better be mentally prepared. Ling Feng gave her a shot in advance. Lin Su nodded, indicating that she could accept it. Come on. She sat cross-legged on the ground, closed her eyes with a serious expression, and waited for Ling Feng's injection. Ling Feng didn't say anything anymore, picked up the syringe, and started to inject Lin Su. Not long after the serum was injected, Lin Su's expression began to change slowly. Her eyebrows were deeply wrinkled, her mouth was tightly closed, her hands were tightly grasping the corners of her clothes, and beads of sweat kept sliding down her forehead. She was obviously suffering from great pain, but she didn't howl loudly because of the pain, but she made a low sound from time to time. Even Ling Feng, a big man, had to admire Lin Su's tenacity. He and Wang Long rolled on the ground at that time, and the sound of their screams was quite loud. Now he had to be ashamed when he saw Lin Su. Half an hour passed quickly, and Lin Su fell backwards with a tired face. Ling Feng was quick and quickly hugged Lin Su in his arms, feeling a little distressed. At this time, Lin Su's clothes were soaked with sweat, blood, and sticky black substances. Lin Su slowly opened her eyes and looked at Ling Feng with a smile. Finally made it through. I'll take you to wash your body. Ling Feng carried Lin Su into the bathroom, put on hot water, and began to carefully wash away the dirt on Lin Su's body. An hour later, Lin Su stood in front of Ling Feng in brand new clothes. Ling Feng looked at the beauty in front of him with a fiery look in his eyes. After the serum transformation, Lin Su became more attractive. Cherry mouth, willow-shaped eyebrows, bright eyes. The originally fair skin became more delicate, and the originally cold temperament added a touch of charm. The most important thing is that the figure has become better and bigger. Ling Feng wanted to rush up and kill her right now, but fortunately he held back and prepared to understand Lin Su's physical condition first. How do you feel? Lin Su moved her body and raised the corners of her mouth. I feel that my current state is the best ever. I feel that I have endless strength in my body, and I no longer feel weak, and I feel that my entire brain thinking ability has become stronger. This feeling is really magical. Lin Su told Ling Feng excitedly. Ling Feng looked at Lin Su's every frown and smile, exuding charm, and he couldn't help but go forward and pick her up. His eyes were about to burst into fire. Let me check you carefully. 10,000 words omitted here. 3 hours later, Ling Feng exhaled a puff of smoke with a refreshed mind, still thinking about the madness just now. Lin Su lay on her side, with her snow-white jade arm resting on her head, looking at Ling Feng with a charming face. The blush on her face had not yet faded. The body has indeed changed a lot. Ling Feng teased. Bad guy. Lin Su rolled her eyes at him. The two of them were lying on the bed chatting, telling each other about their depression. Lin Su also opened her heart for the first time and told Ling Feng about her unfortunate childhood experience. It turned out that Lin Su had never seen his father since she was a child. Her mother had always been unwilling to tell her who her father is. Lin Su has been dependent on her mother since she was a child. But things happened unexpectedly. Her mother died in a car accident when she was 7 years old, and she was sent to an orphanage afterwards. In fact, she has 2 aunts, but her aunts are unwilling to raise him. Not only did they not raise him, they also cheated Lin Su's mother of the car accident compensation. Without support, Lin Su's personality became colder and colder. She became mature at a young age and became very rational in dealing with things. She continued to study hard and work hard. After graduation, she passed the lawyer exam by self-study and gradually became famous in the industry. It can be said that everything she has is the result of her hard work, and she has never relied on anyone. After listening to Lin Su's words, Ling Feng couldn't help but hug the lovely person in his arms. He felt a little distressed for her experience over the years. Everything is over, and I will take care of everything in the future. Ling Feng's face was full of tenderness, and his words were also unusually firm. Lin Su groaned, moved deeply. Tears quietly slipped from the corners of her eyes. Just as the two were talking to each other, a voice came from the intercom at the bedside. Dong Yao, there is an emergency. Ling Feng quickly picked up the intercom and called back. I am Dong Yao. What's the situation? The voice on the other end of the intercom sounded a little panicked, obviously frightened. Report to Dong Yao. A group of people in military uniforms were found approaching this side quickly, and they all had weapons in their hands. How many people? About 100 people, expected to arrive here in 1 minute. Okay, I know you hide first. Ling Feng hung up the intercom, got up, and put on his pants. Lin Su also got up and put on her clothes. She also heard the conversation next to her. Now that she has undergone a transformation, she is no longer a weak woman, and she can help with some things. Ling Feng brought Lin Su to the attic. When the place was renovated before, he specially asked the construction company to reserve several shooting holes, and the shooting holes were very hidden and difficult to find from the outside. Since the villa was renovated, Ling Feng has never used the holes designed in the attic. Today is the first time. Today's group of people are not those ordinary owners and villagers, but a group of soldiers with rich combat effectiveness. You must take it seriously. Chapter 75. Ma Wu led 100 fully armed soldiers and finally arrived at the Zizuan villa after walking for nearly 2 hours. This time he was full of confidence. These 100 people were his elites. They were all scouts before the end of the world, and there was even a sniper among them. Each person was equipped with a powerful rifle, several light machine guns, and 10 kilograms of TNT explosives. With this configuration, even the king of soldiers would die, let alone just catching a retired Special Forces soldier. After entering the gate of the villa, Long Hao began to deploy troops. He first sent 2 scouts to investigate the situation in the villa for the next step. The 2 scouts also acted quickly. In less than half an hour, they had a clear understanding of the layout of the villa and the situation of the villa where Ling Feng lived. Ma Wu first arranged 10 soldiers to guard the 4 gates of the villa, then ordered the sniper to find a favorable sniper position, and then arranged the machine gunner to set up the machine gun around Ling Feng's villa. The remaining 80 people were divided into 3 teams, with the first and second teams providing firepower to cover the third team's main attack. After everything was arranged, Ma Wu began to attack the target location. Standing in the attic, Ling Feng looked at the other side's troop deployment with a hint of surprise in his eyes. The other side's commander was a man with strong command ability, not a fake. He was now surrounded by a 3-layer encirclement. It can be said that this firepower could not be resisted by any villa in the community. It's a pity that they met him. He was still very confident in the defensibility of his villa. Let alone 100 people. Even if there were another 1,000 people, Ling Feng would not panic at all. Ling Feng took out the upgraded machine gun, filled it with bullets, and waited for the enemy to slowly approach. Soon the first group of attacking teams slowly approached the villa courtyard. 30 meters behind this group of teams, Ma Wu held a large loudspeaker and began to shout into the villa. Listen, Ling Feng in the villa. We are the search team of the official shelter. We have received a report that your family illegally hides a large amount of materials of unknown origin. We have been ordered to take you back for our investigation. Now please open the door and do not resist fearlessly. Otherwise, we will take compulsory measures to arrest you, and you will bear the consequences." Ling Feng, who was aiming in the attic, sneered. What an official! Robbing his family's materials under the banner of the official. Now it's the end of the world, and you still think that you will surrender under the banner of the official? I don't care who you are. If you dare to take my materials, I will kill you. Da-da-da. Ling Feng didn't waste time talking to him and answered him directly with bullets. A series of bullets instantly hit the soldiers in the front row. Under the huge power of the bullets, 4 people died on the spot in an instant. Lao Lu damn! Ma Wu shouted. One of the 4 people who just died was his good friend. He was so angry that his eyes were about to burst, and he directly ordered the team to start a strong attack. Instantly, huge firepower began to vent towards the villa. Instantly, gunshots continued outside the villa, and a large number of bullets continued to shoot at the glass and door positions in the villa. However, Ma Wu soon found that the opponent was wrong. After a round of shooting, the opponent's glass was intact. Give me explosives. I don't believe that his door can even withstand bombs. Soon, 2 soldiers carrying explosives began to lurk at the door position. Prepare to place explosives. Ling Feng held a machine gun and kept shooting down. After being upgraded, this machine gun has very powerful performance. It is not only powerful, but also has much less recoil. Just when he was enjoying killing, the feeling of uneasiness in his heart came out again. Ling Feng's body leaned to one side without hesitation, and a bullet hit the position just now when he dodged. Ling Feng quickly determined that the sniper rifle was at fault based on the sound of the gunshot. Ling Feng carefully searched the direction of the gunshot and soon found the position of the sniper on the opposite side. He changed his position, took out the sniper rifle, aimed at the sniper on the opposite side in an instant, and then fired quickly. The bullet hit the sniper's forehead, and the sniper died on the spot. Then he used the sniper rifle to shoot down the opponent's machine gunner one by one. After killing several fire output points in succession, Ling Feng's pressure was greatly reduced. The current threat was only the dozens of soldiers below. He put away the sniper rifle and continued to hold the machine gun and started to shoot. He used the machine gun as a sniper rifle, and the machine gun became extremely accurate in his hands. As long as he was hit, no one would be killed. 1 person can survive. The 3rd squad responsible for the attack suffered heavy casualties, and soon 26 people were mercilessly shot by Ling Feng. Seeing that the loss was too great, Ma Wu hurriedly ordered the 3rd squad to retreat and arranged the 1st squad to continue the attack to buy time for the placement of the gunpowder device. However, more than half of the soldiers in the 2nd squad were also killed or wounded soon, and Ma Wu's heart was bleeding. Fortunately, the explosives were also placed. As long as the gate of the villa was blown open, they could quickly attack and capture Ling Feng. Ma Wu took the remote control of the explosives and pressed it hard. Boom! A loud bang sounded, and the explosives were so powerful that the entire ground shook. Ma Wu sneered at the direction of the explosives, thinking in his heart that he would definitely treat Ling Feng well after catching him later. The smoke from the explosives slowly dissipated, and Ma Wu was shocked when he looked at the direction of the gate. The gate was intact, without even a dent. Ma Wu did not hesitate and immediately ordered the team to prepare for retreat. He had suffered heavy casualties today, with more than half of the casualties. The enemy's defense was too strong to be broken, and it was meaningless to fight a protracted war. Ling Feng looked at the enemy who was preparing to retreat and began to beat the fallen dog. He started to shoot at the enemy below without any cost. He didn't want this group of people to go back alive. Ma Wu fled in a panic with the remaining 30 soldiers. Ling Feng returned to the 3rd floor and asked Lin Su to go out to clean up the battlefield and collect all the weapons and equipment on these people, especially the sniper rifle and those machine guns, which were all good stuff. Then he opened the window and jumped directly from the window. Ling Feng chased the group of people with a machine gun and fired crazily. Ma Wu, who was running away, saw that Ling Feng dared to come out of that solid turtle shell and immediately ordered the team to turn around and fight back. Damn it, shoot him to death. Dozens of rifles aimed at Ling Feng and fired at him at the same time. Ling Feng watched the fleeing soldier turn around and prepare to fight back. He immediately turned on his body and rushed towards the crowd on the opposite side. He put away his machine gun, took out his Tang sword, and kept dodging the bullets shot at him. In less than a second, he arrived at the group of search teams. Chapter 76. Ling Feng kept shuttling among the search teams like a ghost. Every time the Tang sword in his hand fell mercilessly, it took away a life. In just a few breaths, Ling Feng killed more than a dozen people. Although these people were experienced fighters with good strength, but they were still not good enough in front of Ling Feng. At most, they were bigger ants. Ma Wu looked at his subordinates who were constantly decreasing and Ling Feng's terrifying killing speed, and his pupils shrank slightly. Ling Feng's strength exceeded his expectations. The ghostly figure and sharp swordsmanship made him realize that he had encountered an existence that he could not afford to offend today. Looking at the soldiers who kept falling, Ma Wu's expression was gloomy. But he had no way to stop Ling Feng's killing. He could only watch his brothers die one by one. In just 1 minute, there were only 2 people left on the field, Ling Feng and him. Are you a superpower? Ma Wu looked at Ling Feng with a face full of horror. Ling Feng did not answer his question and looked at him indifferently. He said in a light tone, "How did you know I had supplies? Who told you?" Ma Wu sneered, his face full of determination. "Kill me, I won't tell you." He closed his eyes after saying that. He knew he was no match for Ling Feng, and he was unwilling to run away. Now that the mission failed and 100 of his soldiers died, he had no face to go back. A trace of surprise flashed in Ling Feng's eyes. I didn't expect this man to be so strong-willed, and his fearless spirit did not bring shame to the soldiers. He is a man, much better than the one I killed this morning. Ling Feng raised his eyebrows and said. Ma Wu heard this. His dark face was extremely gloomy. He said coldly, "Did you kill Zhang Zijian?" Ling Feng smiled faintly and said casually, "I don't know who it is. This person threatened me, so I killed him." Ma Wu pointed at Ling Feng and shouted angrily, "You are so bold that you dare to kill official soldiers wantonly. Aren't you afraid of being liquidated?" Ling Feng looked at him like a fool. He didn't expect that there would be such a stupid person. He said with a gust of wind, "Official, the boss of your shelter has been replaced by a gangster. You still tell me that it is official? You're just wearing the official coat and doing shameful things. You are still showing your loyalty here. Ridiculous. You." Ma Wu wanted to refute, but found that he had no way to refute. After all, Ling Feng was telling the truth. Ma Wu was ashamed of Ling Feng's words. He knew that what they were doing now was against their will, but military orders were like mountains. As a soldier, he had to obey orders. Ling Feng looked at the deep thought in his eyes, did not kill him, and turned away. "You won't kill me?" Ma Wu looked at Ling Feng in surprise and asked. "You are a qualified soldier. I will spare your life today, but I will not hold back next time." Ling Feng's cold voice came from a distance. Ma Wu took a deep look at Ling Feng's back, his expression changing, and then turned and left. On the way back, Ma Wu kept thinking about Ling Feng's words, thinking in his heart, after the end of the world, everything has changed. As soldiers, their duty was to protect the lives and property of the people. Now, under the signal of the upper leaders, they have to point their guns at ordinary people. All this is to plunder food. Even though they are like this, they are still not treated as human beings. As long as the leaders are not satisfied with their work, they will scold them at the least and beat them at the worst. He began to feel confused, but soon his eyes became firm, as if he had figured something out. After returning to the base, Ma Wu came to Long Hao's office to report. Long Hao, who was drinking tea in the office, saw Ma Wu's depressed expression, and a trace of uneasiness flashed in his heart. So he asked, "Ma Wu, how did things go?" Ma Wu lowered his head and said in a low voice, "It failed. All the people I brought over died, and I was the only one left." After saying that, Ma Wu held his head with both hands, with a look of self-blame on his face. "What?" Long Hao was so shocked that his body trembled, and the hot water in the cup in his hand splashed out and spilled on his thighs. He looked at Ma Wu in disbelief. "All 100 elite soldiers died?" Ma Wu nodded heavily. After getting Ma Wu's confirmation again, Long Hao sat on the sofa with a dull face. Those were 100 elite soldiers, the soldiers he was most satisfied with. In order to train these soldiers, Hai took a lot of effort. Who is this Ling Feng? He is so powerful. He can kill so many people by himself. He began to carefully ask Ma Wu about the details of this action and find out the reason for the failure. After listening to Ma Wu's explanation, he was also deeply shocked by Ling Feng's martial arts. He didn't expect Ling Feng to be a superpower. He was also a speed superpower. He waved his hand weakly, signaling Ma Wu to retreat. He tidied his clothes and prepared to report this action to the Lord overnight. He came to the Lord's office, exhaled fiercely, and mustered up the courage to knock on the door. Zhang Ergu, who was communicating deeply with Yang Zihan in the room, was interrupted by a knock on the door at a critical moment. Zhang Ergu was frightened and trembled all over, and stood up softly. The anger in his eyes was about to burst out. He gritted his teeth and said, "Come in." Long Hao, who was standing at the door, heard the voice of the person inside and felt something was wrong. He secretly cried out that it was over. Barbie was knocked. He opened the door nervously and looked at Zhang Ergu. He happened to see Zhang Ergu staring at him with anger on his face. "It's so late. What do you want from me?" Zhang Ergu lit a cigarette. With a pop, the lighter slammed on the table. "Lord, today's mission failed," Long Hao said in a low voice. Zhang Ergu's expression changed, and all his dissatisfaction broke out at this moment. He stood up suddenly and threw the cigarette at Long Hao. "A bunch of trash. Why should I keep you around? You can't even do such a small thing. So many people went there and couldn't catch even one person. Are you guys eating shit?" Long Hao was so scared that his face turned pale. He was afraid that Zhang Ergu would beat him to death in a rage, so he hurried to explain. "Ling Feng is a superpower. Our soldiers are no match for him at all." When Zhang Ergu heard about superpowers, a solemn look flashed in his eyes. Superpowers? Besides himself, there are other superpowers. If this person knew his position, he wouldn't come to grab his position. No way. Since he took this position, he has lived like an emperor. No one can stop him. Thinking of this, his face turned cold, and a trace of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He directly issued a death order. "Long Hao, you continue to arrange some good men to go to Ling Feng to kill him. Don't take him alive. The reason why we couldn't kill him last time must be that we didn't have enough firepower. Bring more people this time. You lead the team yourself. Bring all those large-caliber weapons. And you must kill him completely. If you fail to complete the mission, you don't have to come back again." Long Hao didn't say anything else, just walked out of the room silently. After Long Hao left, Yang Zihan crawled out from under the table in the office without a piece of clothing, walked behind Zhang Ergu and hugged him. He said softly, "Are you still going to continue?" Zhang Ergu originally wanted to say continue, but when he looked down, he put on his clothes directly. When he was talking to Long Hao just now, he had been naked from the waist down. "Forget it today. I'm a little sleepy next time." He sighed secretly in his heart. It's not that he didn't want to, but he really had the will, but not the strength. At the critical moment, his brother went on strike. On the street outside the Zizouan villa, a man with an exaggeratedly burly figure looked at the Zizouan endorsement group with excitement and talked to himself. The bodies of 2 Zizouan owners were lying at his feet. "Finally found it, haha. Captain Kwang will definitely be happy now." After making a mark on the wall, he left quickly. Chapter 77. After dealing with Ma Wu's problem, Ling Feng walked back home lazily. After a night of fighting, he was no longer sleepy. His spirit was in an excited state. He simply gave up sleeping and went directly to the gravity cabin in the basement to prepare for training. After taking the inner elixir of the giant python, his maximum gravity tolerance has reached an astonishing 230 times. Amazing strength. He is going to continue to challenge his limits today. Now he has more and more enemies, and the strength of the enemies is getting stronger and stronger. Improving strength is imminent. He must improve his strength as soon as possible to deal with the next enemy. Ling Feng found a generator from the control room, and then connected a wire to the generator, and the other end of the wire was held in his hand. Today he wanted to try whether he could improve his physical fitness by electric shock. After making all preparations, Ling Feng turned on the switch of the generator. Sizzle. The current instantly spread throughout his body, and Ling Feng felt numb all over, and the whole person trembled. A burning pain swept through his body. Fortunately, his body was much stronger than that of an ordinary person, and he did not have any other reactions. If it were an ordinary person, this 380V voltage would have matured long ago. The entire motor lasted for about 10 minutes. Ling Feng endured the discomfort and turned off the power of the generator. The current stopped instantly, and Ling Feng lay on the ground with his arms and legs spread out, gasping for breath. After resting for a few minutes, he felt that his body strength had increased, and it was quite obvious. Ling Feng looked happy. It seemed to be useful. He quickly came to the gravity cabin and prepared to test the results of the electric shock just now. He adjusted the gravity value to 230 times first, and felt that there was no problem. There was no strong sense of oppression. Continue to increase the value. 240 times, 250 times, 260 times. Ling Feng persisted until 260 times before he felt the limit of his body. Ling Feng grinned. It really works. Ling Feng seemed to have discovered a new world. Although this self-torture method was painful, it was indeed effective. He continued to torture himself. He named this method electric shock therapy, and he called himself the king of thunder and lightning. Ling Feng spent the whole night in training. When it was already dawn outside, he found that it was already so late. He looked at the time. It was 7 o'clock in the morning. Ling Feng stretched his body, and his whole body was crackling. Today's training progress was very fast. The whole person's gravity value has reached an astonishing 350 times, which has increased by nearly half in one night. Ling Feng really loves and hates this electric shock therapy. He was tortured by the electric current all night. He simply took a shower in the basement and felt much fresher. Ling Feng came to the living room on the first floor and saw the guns and ammunition that Lin Su had collected last night. All of them were taken from the bodies of the search team. Ling Feng was deeply attracted by the sniper rifle in the most conspicuous position at first sight. He walked forward, took the sniper rifle in his hand, and observed it carefully. He was very familiar with this sniper rifle, which could be said to be the most familiar among all firearms. When he was in the army, he was a sniper equipped with this sniper rifle. Looking at this sniper rifle, Ling Feng's heart was full of nostalgia. That was his youth. Unfortunately, it can never go back. Ling Feng put all the weapons into the space to upgrade and increase the power of the weapons. Soon a batch of upgraded weapons appeared in the space. Ling Feng took out the sniper rifle. After the upgrade, the weight of the sniper rifle became heavier. The scope also became clearer, but I don't know how much power it will have after the upgrade. In addition to the pistol, Ling Feng also saw about 20,000 rounds of bullets, which he accepted without hesitation. There were also some grenades, machine guns, bulletproof vests, and other things. Although he didn't lack these things, there was no reason not to want the things he had. While he was cleaning his sniper rifle, Lin Su had already started to serve breakfast on the table. After breakfast, Ling Feng called Zhang In. After hanging up the phone, Zhang In had arrived at the small courtyard of the villa in less than 5 minutes. Ling Feng jumped down from the windowsill on the 3rd floor and came to Zhang In. He said lightly, "Today, you start to arrange people to set traps around my villa. Remember, the more powerful, the better." After Zhang In received the order, he ran away happily. Ling Feng simply checked the sentries at the gates and found that everything was normal. He then returned to the villa with peace of mind. There was nothing to do today, so he planned to train Lin Su to improve her combat effectiveness as soon as possible. He took Lin Su to the basement and began to train Lin Su. First, the use of the gravity chamber and the basic practice of the Tang sword. Although Lin Su had received a gene serum injection, it was only one day after all, and her personal physical data was only slightly stronger than that of ordinary people. The training started with the gravity chamber. Facing the painful training, Lin Su did not resist at all and gritted her teeth to persist. After 2 hours of devastating special training, she had been tortured to death by Ling Feng. But the results were also very good, and the data of the whole person had broken through 10 times. After the training, the two began to invest in the research of gene serum. Just as the two were conducting experiments, the alarm in the laboratory suddenly made a shrill sound. Ling Feng came to the first floor alone and saw a group of muscular men attacking his door. Ling Feng was not familiar with this group of people, but from the uniform clothes of this group of people, he guessed that they should be from MK Company. Ling Feng came to the French window and watched the people outside the house hitting the door nonstop. Ling Feng felt a little angry. Why do these people always pick on him? Why is it so difficult for me to live a peaceful life for a few days? They must force me to kill people. Ling Feng looked at the group of people carefully. Behind the group of people, there was a burly man with a thick beard. The man seemed to have noticed something and looked at Ling Feng with a bad look. He muttered. It seemed to say, "You wait for me." Ling Feng sneered. He looked at the man outside with disdain and gave him a middle finger. Seeing Ling Feng's insulting action, the mad tiger instantly exploded, and the whole person began to grow rapidly, and his body became very exaggerated. He became a muscular giant with a height of more than 2 meters and 5. The mad tiger looked at Ling Feng with a ferocious face. I wish I could eat his flesh and drink his blood. This man not only killed his good roommate, but also dared to insult him. What can a man endure? Even if my uncle can endure it, my aunt can't endure it. Quang Hu took huge steps and came to the front door, kicking it hard with both feet. Unfortunately, the expected result did not happen, and the door was still intact. Quang Hu looked gloomy, but he did not give up. He began to use tactics to solve the problem. He ordered others to start digging the foundation on the ground. He wanted to dig the foundation of the villa and enter the room from below. Soon a huge hole was dug in the outer wall of the villa. Quang Hu was overjoyed when he heard this, and immediately ordered his men to blow it up with grenades. Chapter 78. With a loud bang, dust and smoke rose up in the yard instantly. Quang Hu looked in the direction of the explosion, and his expression changed. The villa was still standing there intact. Quang Hu was so angry that he cursed his mother, but there was nothing he could do. Ling Feng, who was standing in the house, was already accustomed to this kind of explosion operation. He couldn't help but mutter, "You guys explode every day. Don't you have any new ways to play?" I'm not annoyed, but the readers are also annoyed. He didn't want to hide in the house and passively defend, wasting time. Now that his strength has greatly increased, he feels very good. I want to have a fight with the big fool outside. If this person is strong, even if he can't beat him, he can get away with his strong speed. Thinking of this, Ling Feng came to the 3rd floor, opened the window, and jumped, landing steadily on the ground. The mad tiger, who was in a state of impotence and rage, suddenly saw Ling Feng jump out on his own initiative, and his face was immediately covered with a sinister smile. You are really brave. You dare to come out and seek death. Hand over the gene serum if you know what's good for you. I can let you die more easily. Otherwise, I will make you live a life worse than death. Ling Feng looked at the arrogant mad tiger not far away and sneered. Compared with your mother, you are still mad. Have you eaten too many potatoes? Hearing this, the mad tiger's face froze, and a trace of coldness flashed through his eyes. His 2 eyes stared at Ling Feng like a venomous snake. He spoke coldly. You don't know how to live or die. You dare to talk to me like this. I want to see whether your mouth is hard or my fist is hard. Ling Feng looked at him with a bloodthirsty face and said indifferently, I'm not just hard-mouthed, every part of my body is hard. Do you want to try? The mad tiger raised his eyebrows and roared in anger at Ling Feng. Arrogant. Catch him. Quang Hu signaled his men to take action. After receiving the boss's instructions, several younger brothers walked towards Ling Feng with ferocious looks. Ling Feng moved his joints and neck. Prepare for a big fight. He bent his legs slightly, exerted his strength instantly, and rushed towards several minions at a high speed. Before the minions could react, Ling Feng had already arrived in front of them. He punched one of them in the face with his right hand. The man was caught off guard, and his head was like a watermelon that was blown up, splattering everywhere, with a blood index of 5 points. Standing behind, Kwang Hu saw his younger brother being blown up in an instant, and there was not only no anger in his eyes, but a hint of excitement flashed. Ling Feng is a good person and is indeed qualified to fight with him. What he likes most is to fight with others. That kind of fight between life and death is the easiest to stimulate the potential of his body and let him break through between life and death. Killing such a strong man is much more satisfying than bullying weaklings. On the field, Ling Feng showed his power, almost one punch per kid, and several minions were quickly beaten into pieces by Ling Feng. Very good. You're a little beyond my expectations. No wonder you can kill the silver snake. But that's all. After speaking, Kwang Hu rushed towards Ling Feng. He directly swept Ling Feng's head with a whip kick, and the attack was fierce and fast. It was much stronger than those minions just now. Facing Kwang Hu's fierce attack, Ling Feng's eyes were full of fighting spirit. He did not dodge, but chose to fight head-on. He clenched his right fist and hit Kwang Hu's calf, also with great momentum. In an instant, the two bodies collided with each other, making a muffled sound. Hiss! Kwang Hu frowned, and a sharp pain came from his calf. He exerted force with his other leg, quickly distanced himself from Ling Feng, and looked at Ling Feng with fear. How is it? Is it hard enough? Ling Feng sneered, looking at the other party with a sneer on his face. Humph! I admit that you are very hard, but I just used only 50% of my strength. I will use more strength next time, Kwang Hu said stubbornly. He moved the calf that had just been hit, and it soon recovered as before. Ling Feng looked at Kwang Hu's calf that had recovered to normal with some surprise. His punch just now had fractured his calf, but he didn't expect it to recover so quickly. I just don't know how good his recovery ability is. Since he was injected with the gene serum, he has not been injured. Kwang Hu made a boxing gesture and approached Ling Feng cautiously. He was originally a boxer in an underground boxing ring, and he had created a myth of 30 consecutive wins. This is also the reason why his strength can rank among the top few in the organization. Ling Feng stood there very casually, waiting for the opponent's attack. Ali Gay! Kwang Hu shouted loudly, and instantly threw a straight punch with his right hand towards Ling Feng's face. Then he threw a left hook, a right swing, and a series of combination punches towards Ling Feng. Ling Feng easily dodged the opponent's attack with his agility. Kwang Hu was huge, and although he was very strong, he was not very agile. Dodging left and right, Kwang Hu was played around by Ling Feng like a monkey. Kwang Hu gnashed his teeth in anger. After his crazy attack, he didn't even touch the opponent's hair. If you are a man, don't hide. Fight honestly. Kwang Hu roared hysterically. Ling Feng smiled faintly. As you wish. Just now, I was just testing the opponent's strength, and finally found that this person's strength was not very strong. Anyway, I have had enough fun and am tired, so let's destroy it. He saw the right time, found a flaw in the opponent, and slapped Kwang Hu in the face. Kwang Hu was slapped more than 10 meters away, and a pit was smashed on the ground. The ground around the pit was also broken into pieces. The whole face was swollen like a pig's head. You are useless even if I give you a chance, my friend. Ling Feng taunted mercilessly. When has Kwang Hu ever been humiliated like this? The opponent could have punched him, but he directly gave him a big fight. My head is still dizzy now. Asshole! Kwang Hu's eyes were red, veins on his neck were bulging, and the whole person was completely swallowed by anger. I will kill you. You forced me to do this. Ling Feng looked at the other person indifferently and said meaningfully, I didn't force you. Your mother did. Kwang Hu looked at him with a sneer, then took out a syringe. The syringe was filled with black liquid, which looked very strange. Wait for death. Chapter 79. Kwang Hu thrust the syringe into his neck fiercely and shot all the liquid inside. This is the latest superhuman serum. Let me show you my strength today. His body began to swell again, and his height broke through 3 meters directly. His legs and arms became thick and big, and his clothes were also blown up by his body. He looked exactly like a humanoid monster. Can't your company research something normal? Why are all of them so ugly? Ling Feng frowned and looked at the muscular beast in front of him with disgust. Go to hell! Kwang Hu roared wildly. He launched an attack instantly, and his speed increased several times more than before. Ling Feng's eyes were stern, and his fighting spirit soared. He also punched Kwang Hu's fist. The huge reaction force made the two retreat at the same time. Kwang Hu retreated dozens of steps before stopping, and his entire right foot stepped deeply into the ground. His entire right arm trembled slightly. On the other hand, Ling Feng only took 3 steps back and quickly removed the force, appearing calm and composed. The strength of both sides was immediately determined. Kwang Hu looked at Ling Feng in shock. He thought he could easily defeat Ling Feng after using the serum, but he was slapped in the face. In the previous punch, he had already used all his strength, but still lost. He had the idea of running away, but when he thought of Ling Feng's speed, he immediately gave up the idea. With Ling Feng's speed, it would be useless even if he ran. He looked at Ling Feng fiercely, with a flash of determination in his eyes. Then he took out another serum from his body and prepared to inject it again. Ling Feng, who was far away, saw his move and attacked instantly. In a moment, he came in front of Kwang Hu. The Tang Dao suddenly appeared in his right hand. He held the knife with both hands, and the knife flashed, slashing down towards Kwang Hu's face. Kwang Hu started to dodge in panic and was shocked. How did Ling Feng suddenly have a knife in his hand? He didn't see where the knife came from. Where did he hide the knife? Magic? Ling Feng caught him off guard. He narrowly dodged this fatal knife, and the Tang knife passed in front of him. Ling Feng missed the attack, and the long knife in his hand changed direction instantly. He changed from chopping to picking and chopped at the opponent's arm. This time Kwang Hu didn't dodge, and his entire right arm was cut off at the root, and black blood gushed out. Kwang Hu was shocked. Enduring the severe pain, he turned around and was about to escape. Ling Feng's fierce attack had completely shattered his fighting spirit. Seeing the opponent running away, Ling Feng quickly chased him, jumped directly, and the Tang knife stabbed into his back fiercely. The long knife turned, and then he used both hands to force. Kwang Hu's half-body was directly split open, and the whole person fell to the ground. He turned around with difficulty, looking at Ling Feng with a resentful look, and blood kept coming out of his mouth. Our company will not let you go. Even if you can kill me, our company's strength is not what you can imagine. Ling Feng looked at him coldly. Just go with peace of mind. Don't worry about me. With a flash of knife light, the head of the Mad Tiger was directly cut off and rolled to the side. Ling Feng put away the long knife and began to grope the Mad Tiger. Soon he found 2 syringes, one filled with black liquid, which seemed to be the one that the Mad Tiger had just used. The other one contained red liquid, and I don't know what it does. Ling Feng put away both syringes. He had long wanted to study these strange drugs of MK Company. Just now, he suddenly killed people in order to keep the things on him for his own research. Then he searched for drugs on other people. Unfortunately, these minions did not have any. It seems that it is very troublesome for MK Company to develop these drugs, and only some people with strong military power can use them. After dealing with the bodies of these people, Ling Feng jumped back to the 3rd floor. Looking at the blood on his body, Ling Feng frowned slightly. He took off his coat and threw it away and went to the bathroom to take a good bath. While taking a bath, he was constantly thinking about his next plan. His current enemies include the so-called official shelter, MK Company, and Huji Aswang. Although these people have been killed by him, they will definitely come back. Except for the weak strength of Huji Aswang, the other 2 forces are unpredictable. There are superpowers in the official shelter, who he has not yet contacted. His strength is unknown, but he thinks he can't be very bad, and there is also MK Company. The drugs they developed are indeed powerful and have strong lethality. According to what Kwang Hu said before he died, there should be more powerful people in their organization. Thinking of this, Ling Feng had a headache. There were too many enemies to face every day. Fortunately, he was strong, otherwise he would have been eaten by this group of people without leaving any residue. Strength is the foundation of survival in the end times, and he needs to constantly improve his strength. Just when he was taking a shower, the people in Huji Aswang were sitting together and discussing fiercely. The person who presided over this meeting was Hu Santai, the oldest person in Huji Aswang, And also the patriarch of the Hu family has a very high status in Hujiazwang. At this time, Hu Santai sat in the main seat with a dignified face. Although he was nearly 70 years old, he looked energetic. There were 7 or 8 people sitting on both sides of him. Each of them had a sad face. And these people were some elders in the village. Dozens of young people from Hujiazwang stood around the table. The meeting room was silent, and the atmosphere was extremely depressing. Hu Santai looked at everyone's dejected look, shook his head, and spoke first to break the silence. "Look at you all. Do you still have any ambition? Is there no death in war? Cheer up," one of them said with a sad face. "Third grandfather, my 2 sons are all dead. You must avenge me. We can't just let it go. We must cut Ling Feng into pieces." However, his words were also disagreed by others, and someone else in the crowd spoke up. "We have lost so many young people. Ling Feng is not a good person. Don't go. Don't let the children die again." "That's right, Hu Daqiang. Our family didn't send anyone. We won't go next time." "You are talking without any pain. Someone in your family was killed, and you didn't take revenge. Someone in your family died. I'm going to—" The atmosphere of the scene was getting more and more intense, and there was a tendency to fight. Hu Santai was so angry that he slammed the table, and the scene became quiet instantly. "What are you arguing about, ah? Everyone only cares about their own things. Do you have any sense of the overall situation? Why do we send people to rob supplies? Isn't it for everyone in the village to have food to eat? If you don't rob if there is no food, are you waiting to starve to death?" Hu Santai stared and scolded the tribesman in a loud voice. He looked at the tribe member who had just spoken and said seriously, "Lu Laosi, although you are an outsider, you have to participate in the affairs of the village. Last time, your family did not send anyone, but next time, all 3 of your sons must sign up for the operation. Otherwise, you will get out of our Hujia village." The man called Lu Laosi looked extremely ugly when he heard this. But he did not dare to get angry, because he was an outsider. Hu Santai glanced at everyone and continued. "This operation was due to our poor planning, which led to such a large number of casualties. But this matter must not be let go. Next time we must make a more detailed plan before taking action. This Ling Feng must die. Otherwise it will be a shame for the young people who died in our entire Hujia village. Let's discuss how to implement the following plan." Chapter 80. Basement Gravity Chamber. After completing daily training, Ling Feng walked out of the training room with a somewhat depressed look. Today's training effect did not reach his expected goal, and the effect of the electric shock training method began to slowly decrease. The main reason was that the maximum output power of the generator at home no longer had any effect on him. Now he was in a state of shock, and his body could only feel a slight numbness, and no longer had the sour feeling before. Today he originally wanted to increase the maximum gravity to 400 times, but in the end it only reached 360 times. "It seems that I have to find a way to get a high-power generator, or make a power generation device myself." Ling Feng began to wonder in his mind, where in the entire Shangjing city there were large industrial generators. I remember that he accidentally saw in news before. Shangjing City has a factory specializing in power generation equipment, and its technology is far ahead of the world, and the scale of the factory is also very large. As far as he knows, all the factories in the entire Shangjing City are concentrated in a remote suburb in the southern district of Shangjing City, which is also far away from where he lives. He was not familiar with the place, let alone where the factory was. But Wang Long should know that. Wang Long's family was in the industrial equipment business, and there was a factory there. Thinking of this, he immediately called Wang Long. The satellite phone rang for a long time before Wang Long answered the phone slowly. "What's the matter? You're calling so late. Tell me I'm watching a movie," Wang Long said unhappily. "Is it a serious movie?" Ling Feng asked with a smile. "Who watches a serious movie at night? Teacher songs? Oh, a tribute to the classic. Of course, I paid tribute to it several times." The two of them joked and boasted for a while, and Ling Feng remembered that he had something important to do, so he quickly stopped the topic. "You almost led me astray. I have something important to talk to you about." "What's the matter?" Wang Long said lazily. Do you know where the factory that specializes in power generation equipment is in the industrial park in Shangjing City? Ling Feng said calmly. Power generation equipment? Why are you asking this? Wang Long on the other end of the phone asked with a puzzled look. I want to get a high-power power generation equipment. It's useful. Wang Long thought for a moment and said, Really, there is one not far from my factory. I went there with my dad before. Ling Feng looked happy. It seems that the power generation equipment has been found. He continued, Let's go there tomorrow, and I will find you then. I'll hang up first. By the way, pay attention to your body control. Okay, I got it, I'm busy. Wang Long hung up the phone impatiently. After Ling Feng hung up the phone, he was in a good mood. As long as he got a large generator, his strength can grow rapidly again. He hummed a little song and prepared to go back to sleep. After returning to the bedroom, he saw that Lin Su was not on the bed, and there was a sound of water splashing in the bathroom. He suddenly remembered that he didn't seem to wash clean just now. He grinned. He quickly took off all his clothes and tiptoed in. An hour later, Ling Feng walked out of the bathroom in high spirits, feeling refreshed. 5 minutes later, Lin Su slowly walked out of the bathroom and rolled her eyes at Ling Feng. I have to brush my teeth again. Seeing Lin Su wipe the water droplets on her body with a towel, Ling Feng stepped forward to help. No, I'll do it myself. I'm afraid of you. Lin Su immediately refused sternly and slapped his dishonest hand away. But she was no match for Ling Feng. Lin Su symbolically struggled twice and simply let him do it. Ling Feng smiled and took out a uniform, as well as some stockings, high heels, and the like. He bought all these things for free at Tian'an Warehouse. There are still many in the space now. If I hadn't counted the supplies in the space today, I would have almost forgotten about them. But he had never tried them before, so he took them out today and let Lin Su wear them. Add a skin to see if the combat power can be increased. Official shelter in Shangjing City. Zhang Ergu was lying on the sofa wearing only underwear, with a cigarette in his mouth and a game controller in his hand, playing intently. Although the water outside was freezing, his bedroom was still warm and comfortable. At the most critical moment in the game, the lights in the room suddenly flashed, and then the lights began to flicker, and the TV screen went black. Zhang Ergu was so angry that he threw the controller to the ground. The controller was immediately broken into pieces. Damn, what's wrong with this bunch of rubbish? Why is the power becoming more and more unstable? He took out the intercom and called the person in charge of logistics. After a while, a middle-aged man with glasses of medium build came in a panic, panting, and it seemed that he had run all the way. Lord, you are looking for me, the middle-aged man with glasses said cautiously. What do you do for a living? You can't even solve an electricity problem. What's the point of me keeping you? After Zhang Ergu finished speaking, he picked up the ashtray on the table and threw it at the man. But the man dodged it by turning sideways. Damn, you still dare to hide. Zhang Ergu frowned, used his supernatural power directly, and his figure instantly appeared in front of the man with glasses and kicked him in the stomach. The man with glasses was kicked out. He fell on the table behind him, smashing it into pieces. Zhang Ergu snorted coldly, picked up the ashtray on the ground, and smashed it hard on the man with glasses' forehead. A big hole was smashed on the man with glasses' forehead. Blood flowed out instantly, flowing down his cheek to the ground. The man with glasses lay on the ground, covering his wound with a distorted expression. But he didn't dare to make a sound, for fear of angering Zhang Ergu again. Zhang Ergu looked at the man with glasses who was stepped on by him. He said fiercely, Stand at attention when you are beaten. If you dare to hide again next time, I will kill you directly. Do you understand? The man with glasses trembled with fear and nodded hurriedly in response. Understand. Zhang Ergu was satisfied at this time. He just liked the feeling of stepping on all living beings. I'm asking you, what's wrong with the electricity lately? Why is it always unstable? Report to the Lord, there are fewer workers in the power generation room recently. The temperature was too low a few days ago. Many people caught a severe cold and rested, so the electricity is a bit behind. The man with glasses answered honestly. Zhang Ergu looked depressed when he heard this. What? Let them rest, so that I can feed them in vain, right? What's wrong with the cold? Let them get up and continue to work for me. Even if you have a cold, you have to ride a bicycle to generate electricity for me. Otherwise, you won't have to eat. Also, the daily working hours will be adjusted to 14 hours. Before, they were asked to work 10 hours to give them some free time. Hurry up and execute it. After receiving the instructions, the man with glasses got up with difficulty, turned around and left, secretly relieved. Just as he was about to leave, Zhang Ergus suddenly called him.